almost forgot to mute myself. Hey everyone, this is Manaro here, back for our 4th installment of the Baratheon discussion. So I'm here with my special guest, Tee Baby. And Alicia's here, but she had to step away for a while. So when she comes back in, I'll let her introduce herself. But let's just kick it off. Tee Baby, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hey everyone, you know who it is. We're gonna have some fun, and I can't wait to hear what everyone has to say about Renly. But I just have to say this before we even start the stream. You know how like everyone's always talking about how Stannis was, Robert didn't do Stannis, he betrayed him, all that, blah blah blah. Technically, he gave him Dragonstone, and isn't that customary to give your heir Dragonstone? That's all I'm gonna say. Hi, I'm Tee Baby.
Well said, well said. And can we get a thumbs up for her hair fleekage, please?
What? What?
AU.
Hey everybody, this is John from AU Packmule, and I am so excited to be here with Tee Baby and Manaro Geek TV, finishing up this Baratheon Brothers live stream, and I think we've done about 12 hours so far, so this will be an addition, a great addition, and I hope Tony Teflon's able to control himself and not get too crazy with Tee Baby's trolling.
You guys, I'm sorry, but go on.
There we go, starting already.
Look,
glad to be here and
just be warned. Anytime you come, there is a chat and Tee Baby is on it. Please understand that there will be some Stannis trolling. Okay, it is
or
known.
Jamie, I have not forgotten about Jamie. Okay.
Yes, Jamie.
His daddy's a bitch. His sister's a bitch. They make bitches. Like, I have not forgotten Team Dumas.
Okay. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go over, pick up from where we left off with the Renly discussion, and then we're just gonna go up until the end of his arc, and then we'll just kind of do like a wrap up. And if there's any questions anybody has out there, or if any thoughts they have overall based on our discussion, just please feel free to throw it out there. But before we start, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who has been supporting this channel. I am not by any means a scholar in the subject of Game of Thrones. I don't do theory. I don't do theory videos. I don't do craft video. I mean, whatever they call them. And I don't even do like in-depth videos. I just read and I come on here and I get to hang out with my friends on the panel and my friends in the chat and just have discussions, because that's what's fun for me. And so, but I still want to say thank you to everybody who's taken the time to come and check my channel out. I have reached a milestone of 200 subscribers, which is kind of amazing for me. Again, so I just want to thank everybody for their support. I haven't been uploading on a consistent schedule, but I'll get into why that is later. But I just want to say thank you to everyone. And with that, let's get into the discussion. Jamie is on.
Before we start the discussion, I do want to say that I think you're downplaying it because you know your stuff. Yeah, she doesn't believe in like all these grand theories, but she knows she's the encyclopedia. Because I'm always stuck in the rabbit hole, but I'll be like, yeah, and da-da-da. She's like, no, he was over here. It's like, you're right. So trust me, she always be like, no, you know your stuff. These punk ass Baratheons.
So I believe when we last left off with our Renly discussion, we were talking about back before he declared himself king, and what effect how long his relationship, or how his relationship with the Tyrells actually developed. And we talked about how Littlefinger played a significant role in how that relationship developed, because if we remember back to when he initially, well, how we first, well, at least for me, as far as I can recall, and please correct me if I'm wrong, how we initially get introduced to the fact that he even has a relationship with the Tyrells is when he steps up to Ned and he shows Ned a picture of Margaery and asks if she looks like Lyanna. And that's when we discovered there is a plot in order to have Robert be introduced to Margaery, and in effect set Cersei aside in order to have Margaery become his new queen, and in effect kind of getting rid of the Lannisters and putting the Tyrells in place. Now, what benefit would that have been to Renly? I still don't quite get. And if anybody knows, they can just put that out to me. But what benefit would have been to Renly for the Tyrells to have been part of the Crown family? What would he have gained by that? Other than, I mean, he already had I believe he already had an established relationship with Loras. So it's not like he was going to be introduced to Loras and they were going to start the relationship. I think that was and he didn't need for the Tyrells to be in King's Landing in order for that to take place. So I'm kind of wondering why did he go along with that plot? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. That's why I heart AU. To be honest, it could be something as simple as having a queen like Margaery into that position. Maybe she would make it so that it's not like a crime to be gay, and this man could be free. Or it could be like, she's not really going to get it, and there's like another undertone, or they're just saying like the original plan wasn't for Renly to take over, but was supposed to get the Lannisters out. Because the way that it seems like, if you're showing him another wife, you're assuming that Cersei is going to be out of the picture along with all of her children. So that move, like you said, just showed that they definitely know that those aren't her children. Or the same bug that's been in Stannis' ear, that was in Jon's and Ned, all saying like you need to question these kids. So as far as like what Renly was to be gained, it could be simple as he was looking out for his brother. Change, it was like, well, I'm taking over, and that's where you probably have Loras in his ear saying you should be king. Like, no one loves Stannis, no one would saying everything, because no matter how structured Stannis is and how assertive he is, like, you also have to have a king that people would love, that wants to support you. It's kind of like what you see with Dany. Like, they liberated her. It wasn't like her saying, I am your queen. They chose her. So that bug in his ear saying, Stannis isn't going to be what's right for the realm. And if you have enough people in your ear saying that, you're going to start thinking differently. So I'm going to assume that at first, him bringing the Tyrells into play, the only benefit for Renly was he's saving his brother. But then once he died, I think Renly knew, like, okay. And once that happened, Renly was like, that's when plans started switching differently. And I think that's when in his ear, because even though I'm not sure it's in the books, you have that scene where Loras is shaving Renly, and he's in his ear saying, it should be you that's king. You're the one who's this. So that's what I think.
Oh, they shared a shaving scene together in the show. That's sweet. AU, what are your thoughts?
I'm sorry.
Little tip.
So one of the things that is interesting about this is we really criticize Walder Frey for being one of those people that want to marry all of his 84 kids off to other families to lift up his house. But that's what the Tyrells are doing in this situation. It's a perfect situation. We've got someone who wants to be queen, who wants to help her family, and get married to a person that will probably be king. I mean, in practicality, and he is in love with her brother. I mean, I think that's like the perfect situation for the Tyrells. There's no danger of this being a relationship that's going to be harmful to the family. It's just, you know, obviously they're doing it to influence. They already got all the money, so this is just absolutely perfect for them. As far as Renly, I think one of the things that we forget about is that his fascination with Marjorie from the beginning, with him looking at the picture of Marjorie and thinking that it looks like Lyanna for some reason, and that's never really pushed in the show, but it definitely in the book. And I just love the fact that Ned just goes to him, that girl doesn't look anything like Lyanna. What are you talking about? And it just kind of messes up Renly's head a little bit. But yeah, I think this is a perfect opportunity for the Tyrells and Marjorie and Loras and the whole Tyrell family. So
great points. I totally agree with. I agree with both of what you just put out. You're right. Marjorie didn't look anything like Lyanna, but I think they were trying to play on that they had like some similar, I won't say feature, well, some similar with the dark hair. And Marjorie was probably around the same age as Lyanna was when Robert knew her. And so I think Renly was going to try to play on Robert's emotion, because he's held a torch for Lyanna for so long that maybe Robert wouldn't have really seen how much different they look, or probably Marjorie would just kind of remind him of Lyanna enough to kind of pass for like the like a substitute for Lyanna. But
not to interrupt, Manaro, but we talked a little bit earlier about Littlefinger getting in the ear of Renly as well. And
yeah,
the one person that knows what Lyanna looks like that would be influencing this attraction to the situation would be Littlefinger. And
yes.
I think that's a perfect segue.
Yes. Littlefinger was, I have to agree with T in that that's probably part of his character that is very attractive and alluring. His ability to manipulate. He has a very great gift of manipulating a situation and being very subtle about it. He's not overt in his manipulations. He's very, very subtle, and it's like dropping like little tidbits here and there, and the person doesn't necessarily realize that they're being manipulated in any way. And if there was anybody who probably would pick up on it, would be Varys. And I don't think that I don't know if there's an instance where Littlefinger was able to manipulate Varys, but I know he has had the ability to put a wrench in a lot of Varys's plans, and Varys knows it. And Littlefinger is the one person that Varys has no handle on. He has a handle on everybody, but he does not have a handle on Littlefinger, because like Littlefinger mentions to Sansa, he's like, you just confuse people. You don't really let them know. Like, I don't let them know what moves I'm making. I just make random moves. Nobody really knows. And Tyrion even makes the comment that he's very unassuming. Nobody thinks that he's a threat, because it's not like he has an army. He doesn't have like anything that would make you think that he's powerful or anything like that. but a lot of the power that he wields is through the power of suggestion. And not to mention, he does have a few extra coins in his pocket here and there, but he has a very great ability. He's a master manipulator, and he has the ability of bending people to his will. But like I said, the only person that I have not seen him be able to do that to is Varys. But he has thrown wrenches in Varys's plan. And I don't know of any indication that he knows what Varys and Illyrio is planning, but guaranteed he's probably he's doing something or will do something to throw a monkey wrench in their plan. And that's just the way that it goes, you know, because when you can't get a handle on someone, you can't you can't predict the moves that you're going to make so that you can plan your counter moves, which is unlike Littlefinger. Littlefinger has the ability to kind of know people, like he understands people and understands what moves that they're going to make. So once he's studied a person, he knows what is the best way to manipulate that person. And he uses different tactics with different people because he gets to learn and study those people and understands what their strengths and weaknesses are and knows how to play them in order to get whatever desired effect he's looking for. And so I think he played on Renly. I think he played on Renly's relationship on Loras. And he understood that relationship. And so that was his in, if for lack of a better term, phrasing.
You are hitting it on the nose. Littlefinger is just that freaking smart. When I think about how the Tyrells got into it, yeah, Littlefinger, I would not be surprised, was in Renly's ear trying to, you know, hype up Loras, and then Loras, all of a sudden, you just find out that he's gay. Littlefinger probably found out about Loras, and that was his way in. And then, but it didn't stop there because I think he spoke to the queen bee of the household. Mm-hmm. They were just pawns. He knew that was it. Like, heard that, you know, this is going to be her ticket into the crown to be the queen. And I think he sold it to Lady Olenna, like, you know, that she's not going to be a Lannister, she's going to be a Baratheon because, you know, or something. She wasn't, there was never a chance Stannis was going to be in that conversation because she wanted her granddaughter to be queen. Stannis, no. And Littlefinger had Jon Arryn, Renly, and Stannis looking at that, the fact that this isn't her kids, knowing that, and they all kept their mouths closed. All of them. So no matter how much I want to say Stannis is so smart, Littlefinger was playing him, and Littlefinger had him where he wanted him the entire time. And because Stannis was so stubborn, Littlefinger was able to predict every move Stannis was going to make. Renly was never going to win. He was never going to make it, but he made sure that Stannis was out of the way and he wasn't state. Like the fact that Stannis left his brothers hanging in King's Landing and didn't, like, you could tell it, he didn't have no conversation with Renly because he didn't know about, you know, Renly showing no, he did know, but they never spoke to each other. And then you find out, well, I guess I'm going a little ahead, but you later on in the chapters when they finally meet each other, the whole peach scene is when you start to realize all this stuff that was actually happening in King's Landing where no one was talking to each other. If they were talking to each other, they would have had a handle on this and they would have had Lannisters in check and all of that. But that's not what Littlefinger needed. So all of this chaos and all that, Littlefinger was controlling everyone. I agree with you totally. Like, don't get me wrong, Littlefinger is going to get it. Like, he's going to catch you. There's no way, because he's had his hand in everyone's cookie jar. And if everyone would just sit back and analyze everything that was given to him, they'll realize Littlefinger was in somebody's story each time, but no one's talking because you got to keep this secret and you got to keep this secret, and he knows you have to keep those secrets. So he's going to use your weakness to his strength. And it's just like what Varys says, you know, power lies where people think it is. You know, you don't think Littlefinger's powerful, but behind the scenes, he's collecting people's debts. He's doing all these favors. That's why he had the city watch under his control.
Mm.
It was up to him how he wanted to play the situation. So yeah, I agree with everything you said. That when it came down to Tyrell's being into it, it wasn't Renly's idea. It was Littlefinger's idea from the beginning. He was just messing with him.
Do you have anything you want to add in?
No, I think that's perfect.
Cool. So as we move on a little further, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So as we move on a little further, I believe the next time, this is after Ned has his encounter with Jaime, and Ned ends up getting hurt, and then so Robert decides that when Ned comes out of his his coma, he tells, look, we're just gonna set this aside. Y'all need to squash this, and he throws him the hand pin and says, "I'm going hunting." So Renly goes hunting with his brother. His brother gets skewed by a boar, and then the next time we see Renly, it's at Robert's deathbed with and it's him, Ned, and Robert inside of the room because Robert has kicked everybody out. And so Robert is making his, deathbed confessions, and he writes his last will and testament. And the first thing that Renly does is as him and Ned are leaving, he steps up to Ned and say, "Yo, we need to act. You need to get these kids. I've got 100 guards at the ready, just to say so." And I'm wondering if the 100 guards he's talking about is the Tyrells. Because I can't remember if they state specifically what guards he's talking about, but I have the inkling that it might have been the Tyrells he was talking about because Loras was there at the time. And so, perfect segue. So, but of course, Ned, yeah, anyways. And I thought that was interesting.
And Ned was a dumbass for that.
Oh my God. Because he thinks about it later and said, maybe I should have
shut the fuck up and just got up and gone.
Maybe I should have took up Renly at his offer. You think?
Trick you into sending your son to the Night's Watch, tricking your ass to going down to King's Landing, knowing you didn't want to. Just Ned was I love Ned, but Ned was dumb. He was honorable, but
we were talking about that in the chat, and I do want to point out that he did have a spear through his leg, and he was on Milk of the Poppy not 2 weeks before, so it's pretty brutal.
True.
It's just like some of the situations Ned was in, he could have got himself out of, but Ned wanted to play this. It goes back to why I said Littlefinger was playing all these people. Once again, you got a man who knows the secret. If anyone was close to Robert, was Ned. That Ned didn't have to necessarily have proof. That if he would have just brought that up to him, Robert would have believed him.
You mean about the children?
About the children saying, "Look, you need to check."
But he said he was going to.
But he never did.
No.
He waited.
Yeah.
Well, he said he was going to do it when he got back from his hunt. And when he
should have done it before that.
Right after he got stabbed.
He should have known before. You could spin it how you want to.
He was coming back from the brothel.
Ned doesn't know how to play the game. He should have been talking to his friend. Ned didn't want to go at all. He should have said that at the very beginning. If he would have came up to him and said, "I'm not cut out for this. I don't play those politic games or none of that," Robert would have took him for his word and said, "Okay, there were other people." Most likely, he would either pick Renly or Stannis if that was the case before he would have picked Jaime. So Ned should have had some balls and stood up for himself, but he didn't. He let people talk him into something he didn't want to do.
So which part would you say where he made his mistake? Because this
chapter
is
1, when he whatever chapter that he was in, and they were in the crypts, and Robert asked him to be king, his hand of his king. He should have spoke up and said that this is not the right move. And if he was logical about it and say, look, you need someone who knows how to play this game, who knows what you can do and what you can't do. I'm not cut out for it. I am not suitable for it. And we clearly see he wasn't, because he got played as soon as he got there, which ended him what? Dead. They all say it. It's either you play the game or you die. And the fact that he keep refusing to play the game is why he's dead.
So he was influenced by his wife
go
to
up
go
to
there.
Cersei and say, why would you tell Cersei your plans?
I'm gonna go ahead and interject real quick. Just quick defense of Ned. It's not that I don't disagree that he had opportunity to kind of set things in motion that probably would have ended a lot differently for himself, but also at the same time, he was heavily influenced by those around him, because deep down he understood that it was probably a fateful decision for him to leave the North, but yet he listened to the counsel of his wife and he listened to the counsel of his maester, which is not something that's not uncommon for a lot of people. Was it the right decision to make? No, but that still doesn't mean that because he made that decision that there probably would not have been a different outcome. The next point, which you also brought up, which also I could agree on, at the time when he first found out about all of these other bastards it came to him, it finally came to him that the children, Cersei's children were bastards born of him and Jaime, and they were not Robert's. His main concern, whether it was well placed or not, his main concern was he didn't want to see Robert kill those children. It probably shouldn't have been a thought in his mind. His thought should have been to look out for his friend, but at the same time, he was thinking back to the same reason why he was looking out, what he felt he was looking out for Jon Snow by not revealing who Jon Snow really was and had him grow up a bastard. He thought that he was protecting Jon. Again, not to say that he made the right decision, but I'm looking at the heart behind the decision. Again, it didn't end up well for him. So there were many instances where he could have, as a matter of fact, during Robert's deathbed confession, he says it to himself that he should have said something, but he didn't have the heart to say it because his friend was dying, and he didn't want that to be the last thing that would have.
Well, by then it was too late. By then it was way too late.
It wouldn't have been too late, because even if he would have said something Robert could have made a decree while he was still alive. He could have still made a decree while he was still alive.
But he would have had to have some type of witness there, because he also got that signature and all that extra stuff tied. And as soon as he handed it to Cersei, she ripped it off. So by then, that board scene, it was too late for him.
But I don't disagree.
I get what y'all saying. Ned's a good-hearted dude. Like, I get that, but you can't be good and kind-hearted in that atmosphere that they are down there. It's not like
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
There are many ways that it could have went down, of course, but he played a role in his own death because he wasn't playing it smart at the end of the day.
He admits that to himself, but I believe Ned already felt that his life was already forfeit anyway. I think he came to that realization, and he was good with that. If you look back at the discussion that he has with Varys, he didn't care about himself dying. It wasn't until Varys mentions Sansa that he changes his tune. But otherwise, he was prepared to die. He was okay with dying because he was not going to give in to Cersei's demand of declaring Joffrey the true king. He was going to make his stance that Stannis was going to be the true king. It wasn't until Varys mentioned Sansa that he changes his tune.
Which once again shows, look, once he agreed, he didn't have no other choice, but he should have spoke right then and there. Like, if that's really your friend, you got to be up and honest to be comfortable to say, I don't feel comfortable doing this position. That isn't, difference from saying, you know, I can't tell you who his real mom is to I'm not suited for this position. This is not going to be that beneficial for you.
He was going to tell you that. If you go back to the Catelyn chapter, right? I think it was Catelyn's second chapter.
That's what I'm saying.
That's because she convinces him not to. She was gonna. He told
her.
All I'm
saying is that Ned got played. All I'm saying, Ned got played. I believe Cat got played. I'm not saying like, oh, he's this pathetic dude, but he got played.
Yeah. Well, just like everybody else.
Have to get over. Ned did get played. Yeah. Okay. Sansa got played. Cat got played. Rob got played. John. How many times did John get played? Like everyone gets played because of how they work and things. And the only two people that really haven't been getting played is Littlefinger and Varys. But that's because they plan everyone. But yeah. I'm just saying, like, so I can make an argument of a bunch of people getting played in this series because everyone is, except, well, even them two probably going to end up getting played. But I'm just saying, there were ways where Ned could have got himself out of the situation, but he didn't because of his honor and wanting to do things the right way. But down there, they don't play by the rules, you know?
Yeah, that was
that's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was
no matter what you say. You guys can disagree with me, but is Ned still breathing? Are you still getting a Ned chop?
Well, it's not a matter of disagreeing or agreeing. It's a matter of perspective, and we just have. I think we both agree that Ned made some decisions that led to his own downfall. I think it's just a matter of perspective.
But he wasn't the only one, though. I'm not going to throw it out there that he was the only reason why he died. But he played a role. Because I'll normally see people saying it was always Sansa's fault. But when I started to read back on something, I was like, Ned could have done something there, or he could have done something there.
Well, actually, it wasn't Sansa's fault. It was actually Littlefinger's fault. Because Littlefinger and Varys had already made a deal that Ned was going to take the black, and Joffrey was supposed to forgive him, and but Littlefinger wanted to remove him from the board, and so he put it in Joffrey's ear to just cut it, just to kill him.
Well, the second that he sent that letter to Winterfell, Ned was a goner. Like Littlefinger, I already know. If you want to put it from like as far as Littlefinger wanting him gone. Littlefinger just needed him in the right place at the right time, and Littlefinger wasn't going to be able to move things around to put Ned in certain situations in the north.
Well, so that's why the letter was sent to Catelyn and not to Ned, because he knew.
For sure.
I believe he knew Catelyn, and I'm sure he knew that Catelyn would convince Ned, but not to stray too far off of the conversation, but Renly at that, like I said, I want to say that I believe that it was the Tyrell army that Renly was offering up to be the 100 guards that he mentions to Ned, that Ned declines. And then the next time we see Renly is in A Storm of Swords. So do we have any more thoughts about who the potential army is that Renly was offering up to Ned?
You mean Clash? We see him, right?
I'm sorry. Yes, Clash of Kings is before Storm of Swords.
I was like, what chapter was that?
I'm sorry. I misspoke. It was a Clash of Kings. My bad.
Yeah, I think it was just the household guards of the Tyrells and the Baratheons that he could trust.
Yeah, because remember, Loras was up there for the tourney. So that was another reason to even have them up there. So freaking smart.
Yeah, it turns out there was only 50, right? Because that's what Varys said. 50 of them left the next day.
I thought
because he took it out of there. Because that same night that same day that Ned refused is the same. He left that same exact
morning.
Night.
Yeah.
That morning. Okay, so he left in the early hours of the morning. Him, the whole army, Loras, they all booked it out because he probably already knew what was happening, because he already knew that Cersei was already on the move. As soon as Robert kicked all of them out, Cersei was already on the move.
Yep. And
which speaks volumes of Renly's political acumen, if I do say so. He was astute enough to lay it out what was probably happening with Ned and telling Ned what was the best way to counteract Cersei, which Ned didn't follow. But that really speaks to his understanding of what was actually taking place. How much of that might have been from Littlefinger's perspective, I don't know, because I think that's probably would have been the point where him and Littlefinger probably differed. Because the only reason why I say that is Littlefinger did not want Ned to put Stannis on the throne. But he did tell Ned that why don't you just declare Joffrey king? You could be regent. You could actually mold him into being a better leader, which is not a bad idea. You know what I mean? Because if Ned probably what he could have done was just say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and declare him king. I'm going to bend the knee, and then I'm going to get my girls and I'm just going to say, you know what? I'll go ahead and abdicate my position so that or I will stay on his hand until you find somebody more suitable. He could have like placated Cersei, which is all she really would have wanted, is some sort of submission. And so he could have done that, gotten him and his girls out, and then met with Stannis on the slide and say, look, this is what's going on. I believe that you're the true heir, but I had to do it this way because I needed to get myself and my girls out of King's Landing. But that's just me just giving an alternative as to some of a decision that could have been made. Because at that point, I believe that what Littlefinger had said, had Ned followed it, Ned probably might have still lived a little bit longer. I know he would have eventually died at some point. That Littlefinger would have gotten rid of him in some other way, but that would have allowed him to live a little bit longer.
But I don't think he would have done it, and I think Littlefinger threw that out there, knowing he.
Well, you never. But that's not to say that he probably wouldn't have. I mean, there was always a possibility that he might have gone along with what because remember, Littlefinger just he just puts things out there, right? He just puts things out there, and based on whether or not you grab on what he puts out there, that's how he knows how to manipulate and move, right? He drops the seed just the same way like he dropped the seed in Joffrey's ear. Joffrey could have just went along with whatever they had originally planned and made him take the black, but he played on Joffrey's vindictiveness and just pure evil soul, which is why he ended up with the outcome there. But Joffrey could have just went the other way. You know what I mean? So so the next time we see Renly, he's
before we do this, because I just have to address this from the chat. Okay, there's a difference. I said that Ned, he played by the rules of his own honor, because the Game of Thrones really don't have rules. Everyone backstab each other. Now, I call Stannis a bitch because you didn't even fight your brother. You made your shadow fight him. And then your shadow doesn't even face him. He stabs him in the back. So that's like a double bitch move. My thing is number one, if you going up there and you don't know the numbers your brother had, that's a dumb move. Number two, if you go up there knowing your brother has the numbers and you don't, you are already planning to stab this dude with your little super shadow baby, which makes you a bitch. It's like when people jump people. It's like one-on-one cool, but y'all do that, then it's like you was scared. You was scared, and he was. Who was getting played, not only by Littlefinger, but also by Mel.
So your assumption is that Stannis knew the shadow baby would kill Renly, or that there would even be a shadow baby that could do what he did.
So we know Stannis is one of those logical, he thinks things through, right? So does it seem like something Stannis would do to go towards an army knowing he doesn't have enough numbers to match him, even for a fair fight? Or no, what was going to happen, but he went up there to try to make a deal, because he did try to plead with his brother. Like he he made good points.
I agree.
And he really did try to, because basically he was basically giving, he wasn't really necessarily giving Renly the heir thing, because for that, I just think he was saying, look, bygones will be bygones, just because he knew he needed his brother, and that them divided was going to make things much, much harder. But I just don't see Stan as a person who's always thinking 4 steps ahead and is a war tactic and all of that, is going to go up to an army, 4 or 5 times his size he has, expecting to just fight each other, or unless he either didn't know the numbers, which was stupid, or he was desperate and he needed to get his brother on his side because he didn't have the numbers. It could go either way, but no matter how y'all want to swing it, he's a bitch for sending a shadow to kill his brother. Not in those chapters, Renly never said he was going to kill his brother. If you read those chapters, it seems like he was implying that Loras was going to be the one to kill him. So he was never even going to do it. Now we can talk about Renly.
Yeah, we all know that I didn't agree with the shadow baby killing. I also thought that was a bitch move on Stannis' part.
No way, leaving your brother in King's Landing by themselves with a bunch of Lannisters, knowing that they've been plotting on him. Oh, that's not a bitch move either, is it?
I have to give Stannis a pass the first time. It's the second time that they use the shadow baby that I really blame Stannis. The first time, that was all Mel. Mel knew exactly what was going to happen.
See,
you know what? We have a thing that we say in the military, that ignorance is not an excuse. Okay.
Because there's too much of it.
Okay. Ignorance is not an excuse. You proclaim yourself to be a tactician, a great military general. So you mean to tell me that you read the battle scene, right? You saw the battle formation. You knew that you were outnumbered, right? You were given sound counsel about what you should do, right? But you chose to deny that sound counsel because you were stuck in your pride about what you felt that you deserved. And
not to go off on a tangent, but Stannis said he would defeat him in the morning, but he could have slept on it and said, this is ridiculous. I'm going to kill everybody on my whole crew and bend the knee in the morning. You don't know what he would have done.
Well, that's my thing. My thing is, why not just meet your brother on a battlefield? I mean, my thing is, I believe, because usually,
he didn't meet him.
He didn't meet him on a battlefield. They had an initial parley.
Right.
And after that initial parley, they said that they would meet on the battlefield. They never met on the battlefield because he killed Renly that night. He ended up killing him that night. My thing is, before you actually go out on the battlefield, you could have had another parley to kind of say, what, why don't, come up with another plan of attack or another agreement. That's why you have a war council the night before your great battle, right? You have a war council in order to gain ideas and listen to what other people have to say. And then you make a sound decision based on that. What will be the best way to proceed, right? That's what Renly did. And that's what Stannis, I believe, should have done. We don't get any indication that happened, but I'm sure that's probably what happened. What we do get is him and Davos having a conversation after the fact, right? We have him having a conversation. And not only did that have that, but what we also get is at the night before Penrose dies, he has a conversation with Davos, which leads me to believe he had that conversation before with Davos, because he uses the same tactic in order to get rid of Penrose. So that leads me to believe he understood what was happening. And then he uses the excuse, well, I was in bed when it happened. So, but you saw yourself doing it. So your essence was inside of that shadow. So you saw it happening. So again, we could play semantics with it. I'm all good with that. A lot of people felt that he didn't have any alternative, which I disagree with. You know, it was everybody saying, well, it was a time of war. I get it. It's a time of war. But I believe if you're going to present yourself, and this is Stannis, I'm not talking about anybody else. Had that had been Braun, I would have been like, yo, that's in their MO to do stuff like that. But this is not supposed to be in Stannis's MO, because Stannis is portrayed as this person who's just, and he is about fairness, and he is a just person. You can't be that just if you're doing too many underhanded things. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. And say, I can understand you having to use certain stealth tactics. I can dig that. That is part of warfare. But I don't know how. I don't call that shadow baby incident. Not once, but twice you used it.
Right.
So just because you use it a second time, I can't give you a pass for the second time, because you obviously understood the significance of it for you to use it again. If you used it the first time and it was really that troubling to you, you wouldn't have done it again. But you did it again.
He wanted to do more times, right?
Yeah.
But she was like,
no, I can't, because I'm draining him. I'm phrasing.
But Stannis is smart though.
That's
for Friday night.
You know what I mean? So
because it's some Stannis lovers in there, so I'm not gonna call him a bitch. But he's a cupcake, y'all. He's a true cupcake at that. I can't call him a king because I don't.
Stannis is not king.
You can't be king no matter what. I think even Aegon, he conquered all 7 kingdoms, but they didn't consider him king until like the faith had blessed him in. Until that, he's not going to be king. And even I know y'all could say, well, he won his brother, but they took it, so he hasn't conquested again. Therefore, he's not king. He's just a couple, unfortunately. But I don't want to hear me talk. So.
Can I ask a question about Renly?
Yes.
Yeah.
So as you know, the green and gold is Renly's sigil colors, and he uses it to match his eyes. Was that was that something that George screwed up on, or is it my imagination? And maybe Renly's actually one of the bastard kids that MP and I were talking about.
I don't think he's a bastard.
Yeah, because they keep referring and saying he looks so much like Robert, and that he looks like a young Robert. So that fucked me up with the Stannis might be in a bastard, because they don't reference how much he looks like his siblings.
Right.
I still think he is their brother, though.
I think he's just the one. I don't think he's a bastard.
Nah, but I will say, y'all had me for 2 days. 2 in a possible. Y'all had me thinking like.
So you know Tywin has green eyes, right?
Yes.
Mad bitch. Tywin's a bitch. But yeah, he had green eyes.
So he's a green-eyed bitch, and. But I just wondered why you thought he used the green for his colors.
I think he was probably. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I think he was trying to reestablish himself as a separate, establishes, I guess, his new kingdom, if that makes sense. I don't know, because he institutes the Rainbow Guard. How apropos, which is apropos. And not a King's Guard. He institutes a Rainbow Guard. So he probably, I want to say that the Tyrells had a hand in probably him choosing the color green, because when you look at the Reach, the Reach is considered like a lush green land, and I think the color green is probably heavily influenced by the Tyrells.
What's the Baratheons' colors? I thought it
was yellow and black. Like they have a golden
black. Is Robert.
That's why I always thought it was green.
I think the green is a reach influence because of the fact
definitely
he aligns himself with the reach.
Really the Skittles king.
Hey, whatever works for you. He is sweet.
Every flavor, honey, every flavor.
He is sweet. He is sweet. Which kind of makes me wonder why it was that Qyburn has Robert Strong have the rainbow colors on his, like was it a rainbow stream or something rainbow on his,
that's interesting,
on his as part of his Kingsguard armor. I wonder why he chose to have him have that as part of his uniform. I think it was I have to go back and look at it exactly. I don't know if it's a rainbow stream or part of his cloak.
About you don't know your stuff, girl. Every time. Look, Tony's in here. Every time, I swear, you start saying this 3 times, Tony will appear. I can't call him a bitch anymore, so he's King Cupcake. We settled it, but Cupcake can't really be king. And then she'll laying down. I'm just gonna take full advantage of it. But.
Hey Tony, welcome. So, all right, so they have their initial parley. No, he has a conversation with Catelyn. And I think it's a very interesting conversation that he has with Catelyn when Catelyn comes over and to treat with him. Because remember, back at the Riverlands, all of the river lords and all of the lords were having a conversation with Robb as to does Renly actually have a claim to the throne? And there's a lot of back and forth about, Stannis's claim, Renly's claim, and Joffrey. And according to Robb at the time, I think this is before he gets the letter that Stannis sends out to everybody. He said that Joffrey is the one that's supposed to be king because he was Robert's heir. And if it's not Joffrey, then it would stand that Stannis would be the heir because Stannis was Robert's, was the next in line after Robert. They have this conversation and exchange, and then it's agreed that Catelyn will go out and treat with Renly because they're going to see if they can get Renly to kind of be on their side as part of this upcoming battle they're supposed to have, because at the time they were trying to, they wanted to separate themselves from the rest of the 7 kingdoms. They wanted to go back to the way things were in the old days where they were kings in the north.
I don't blame them. They don't even recognize the North, so it's not like it was a big deal to say, all right, y'all do y'all thing, and we just.
But I think they still wanted the North to pay homage. You know what I mean? I think it's and this is how, and then the exchange that Catelyn has, which I have to appreciate about Catelyn, because even though it's coming from a place of even though she was grieving and she was kind of worried for Arya and for Sansa, she actually brings up some really good points about, instead of all of them bickering, why don't they just form a great council? You know what I mean? Because they all are trying to depose the Lannisters anyway. So why not all come together and everybody can make a vote? And then she was trying to come up with a diplomatic and a democratic solution, which of course everybody just, threw back in her face, because Stannis was like, I'm not going to be the king of a broken realm. And Renly was like, I'm not going to be the king of a broken realm. I'm going to be a king of the entire realm.
At one point, I understand that it could, because I think, but see, sorry if I mixed up the show with the books, but I think Tyrion was like, no, that was the show. But in the show, how Tyrion was telling Dany, like, be careful when, if the Greyjoys, they want to break up, because then you'll have everyone wanting to do the same thing. So I think that was in the back of his mind. saying like, if I let him do that, the next thing you know, even larger house, like maybe the Tyrells would be like, I don't want to be a part of this either.
Yeah.
We have enough to sustain ourselves. So I think he was probably thinking that that's a domino effect. But I think that in his case, he probably would have benefited more if he would have took Rob and said, yeah, like y'all, because they kind of view the North as a separate thing. Like it's not really a part of them. And when they have like all these wars, the North is usually the last to come in because it takes them so long just to march down there. But by the time the fight, they get to the fight, it's either the reasons of the wars have changed, sides have changed, that I think it would have been beneficial. But, you know, ego is a big thing. And Stannis got a lot of ego, and you was not going to take not even an inch of his someone's kingdom, because technically it wasn't his kingdom, but, you know, like I said.
Yeah. Right. I agree with that. AU, do you have any thoughts?
I have a lot, but we'll move on. I think T said it all.
No, say something. It's really just me trolling people. Like, I could be nice and give you like, oh, Stannis is so strong and he can do this and that, but it's
well,
more
we don't want
fun
you to lie.
It's more fun to tell you the entire truth. I just can't help it. Unless y'all want me to just go, y'all want me to lay off Stannis and go back to Jaime. I mean,
well, I think we're trying to focus on Renly, and so it's hard to go back and forth because everybody has that same feeling. Either you really love Stannis or you really hate him, and Renly gets no props at all.
He was a snake for what he was doing.
Stannis for me is a very empathetic character. He has his good and he has his bad. It's just that I don't give him a blind pass like a lot of people do. I don't give any character a blind pass.
Right.
None whatsoever, because they're all evil and then they're all good at the same time. They have their
That's what I do.
I don't give them a blind pass, and I don't, like I said, ignorance is not an excuse. I mean, and I think what happens is a lot of people are so invested in Stannis as a character that they're willing to overlook some of his flaws or some of his mistakes. They don't look at them as mistakes. They look at them as decisions that had to be made as a price for, him attaining the kingdom. No. Again, like if I had, the issue that I have is you're portrayed to be, this upstanding and just person. You're portrayed as being a person who's fair, you know what I mean? And who's supposed to be balanced, but you're not. You make decisions, quite frankly, that go against that, not once, but on more than one occasion. And yet you're not held to task like somebody else is. So my thing is I don't think that if we're gonna play this game, then we need to be fair across the board with everybody. You know what I mean? I think he makes some good decisions, but I also think that he's made a lot of questionable decisions, and I don't give him a pass on it.
What do you think Renly could have done to play this game better?
Renly, I think.
She's shaking her head.
He couldn't, just because I was trolling Stannis, like let's call a spade a spade. Renly was a dumbass and Renly didn't know what he was doing. People were playing Renly and making Renly do the move. You think that Renly would have, it was a scene where Renly tells Kat she needs to stay so she can witness what happens almost as a threat. That's not Renly. That was Littlefinger saying Kat's gonna probably make her way up there, and when she does, you make sure you hold her at a certain until we see what that fight is about. That's not Renly. That was someone else, or Lady Olenna. It was someone else. Renly is not that bright. It's that people can control because they'll people gravitate to him. They he's a charmer. You saw it with Brienne. She fell in love with the dude, and all he did was dance with her. So he's got this charming effect that's contagious, that people are drawn to him. But just because you have this charm about you doesn't mean that you would be the rightful king to do that. Because I can say all this stuff about Stannis, but the thing about Stannis is that he's too much of if you look at like the 7-point star, he's too much of a warrior and he doesn't have a balance to him. Like, he doesn't have that much compassion. He doesn't think everything through, because all he thinks is that if you do wrong, I got to punish you right then and there. But that's not how the game works. You have to be likable. People don't just want someone to be the person that tells everyone what to do. If they feel like you don't care about them, like, it's more levels to being a king than just being a pretty face and just being someone who brings law and order. It's more to it.
But what he did do is he brought a huge force to
Now,
the table.
did he bring a force, or did Littlefinger put him in a position where that force was coming?
Well, I don't want to. I'm not going to give Littlefinger all the credit,
right?
Because
I'll give Littlefinger the credit of bringing that situation.
I give him credit in helping for that relationship to start and to foster. But I do believe that I guess I slightly disagree in that I think Renly is smart, and I think he was able to use whatever relationship he had garnered with the Tar. I mean, there had to be something about Renly other than just this, because when you listen, for me, I guess when I read the conversation between him and Catelyn, to me that showed that kind of, for
diplomacy.
me, he seemed to understand the politics of what was happening. And
Sure.
I believe he told her to stay and to witness because he understood what significance that would make, because she would then have to go back to Robb and tell Robb what it is he is actually facing if he were to think that he was going to rise up against Renly. And I think it was just a demonstration more so of force than it is of manipulation, in that, at least that's the way that I read it. Because anytime when you look at when you look in history, especially with the Roman Empire was known of demonstrating force. The Persian Empire was known with demonstrating force. That was how they got people to kind of bend to their will. It was through a show of force. You could have a big army and not know what to do with it. Case in point, the Punic Wars. The Carthaginians, the Carthaginians were outnumbered
Sure.
by the Romans, and yet they decimated the Romans. So it's a matter of showing force and showing how to, and you need somebody to witness that and to go back and tell your story. And I think that was Renly kind of using some political savvy with respect to Catelyn, because when she came in and said that she was there on behalf of her son, who's the king, they tried to correct her, and she was like, yeah, whatever. So instead of arguing with her and going back and forth with her on that point, he was just going to show her. And I think that was the main reason behind him telling her, I need you to stay here and I need you to witness what's going to happen, because after this is done, you're going to go back to your son and you're going to tell him what just transpired here, and that he's going to need to either get with the program or he's going to get a taste. I think that's just my thought.
No, because that makes sense. But I guess my thought took it just maybe a step further. Like, you know what? Now, maybe I'm thinking that not only is he wants her to witness it, but he's also keeping her close just in case. Like, what if the outcome with Stannis didn't work out? He now has a potential hostage that can help him. I'm thinking like that, but definitely do agree that he wanted her to see like he's about business. But I just think also it's not just him, like, because I think Renly Tarly was there. So that could have been him. He had some good shit like in his ear at that moment. That's why I said with him, I'm not sure if it's him being smart or he just have the right people around him, because you got the right team around you, anyone could look good.
Yeah.
And
well, that's all part of managing, right? You have people that have skills, and you need to be able to have people, because when you listen to his war council, right? When you listen to his when you read the war council that he has, you see how he directs how he directs people to, because based on everybody talking about what their strengths and what they're able to do, he's able to direct them about what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to position themselves in order to get the best outcome. And Randall Tarley was probably his best option for, you know, being the overall commander of the forces, because he's the one that's most battle tested, based on what we've read and we know about Randall Tarley. But none of the other guys that he had, which were also part of that team, you know, fall short either. So, and Randall Tarley knows everybody's strength and, you know, where they will best serve with respect to when the battle was supposed to take place the following day. So you're right. Him on his own probably wouldn't have really mattered much, but the fact that he had, you know, such a great show of strength is probably what gave. And
it could be smart that
he had every right to be confident.
Yeah, but it could also say that, like, I still don't think he's really that bright, but I could argue that he's wise enough to put the right people around him. So I will say that, because you see, Robert, he didn't put all the right people around him, and a lot of them was plotting against him. So,
right.
Well, that's because Robert just stopped caring.
Oh, he stopped
he
giving a fuck the second I think Liana died. He was just like,
yeah,
F this.
whatever. I think he's to stop caring. Because when you
hey Tino, I miss you.
Because when you look at Robert wasn't too bad a battle tactician either. When you look at when you go back and you look back at Robert's Rebellion, shameless plug for the Radio Westeros podcast or video, whichever one you like, on their thing. They did one on Robert Baratheon, and when you go back and you read and you kind of look up about Robert's role in that whole thing, he wasn't half bad. But that was his strength. He even says it himself, that if he wished he could have just gone, left the kingdom behind, you know, left the crown behind and gone over to Essos to fight, because that is his strength. His strength is not management. His strength is fighting, being on the battlefield. That is where that's where he thrives the most. He doesn't thrive being a politician. He doesn't thrive in that arena, which is probably why he just stopped he didn't give it, you know, he just left it to everybody else to take care of, and he just didn't give a damn.
Because Robert was getting played a lot down there as well. So
I think he probably started figuring out a little too late that he was getting played, which is probably why he thought having Ned around him was probably his best option, but it really wasn't. When we look at it, it probably wasn't his best option to have Ned.
I think having Ned near him was probably his best option, because once John Aaron died, I think that was like a wake-up call, like he's not as safe. And then when you look around, Stannis isn't there anymore. It's just
so the only person that he knew that he trusted was Ned, which, you know, again, when you look at it initially, you're like, okay, well, you know, he has a trusted friend, a friend that's going to look out for him, who's, you know what I mean, who's not out to backstab him or anything. But, you know, in the end, it probably just didn't, it didn't end. The end. Okay, so
I'm sorry, Timo said, she said that maybe Stannis. She said Stannis is getting older, so maybe he can no longer fight like a man, and he got to fight like a bitch. Like, let me get my shadow to handle this. I ain't got time for that.
Nobody got time for that. Sweet Christmas.
This is why I miss her. Oh, man. It makes sense though when you think about it. His bones probably hurt. He's been through a lot of rebellions. Like, maybe he just was like, if he not gonna say he gonna be on my team, just fuck it. I don't have time anymore. But then again, he's now in the north, you know, fucking with people again. Wonder if he'll send a shadow baby. If he's okay, agree with me on this. If he sends a third shadow baby, you can't call him like a stand-up dude.
Right.
No.
And
So
you could say the
third
same
time
thing
is
about him
about
burning
this.
Shireen. You know, it's the same. It's the
Because you
same kind
see
of.
again.
It's the same kind of, you know, propellant. But we're, you know, going back to Renly. I just think that, in all seriousness, you can't really criticize Renly for doing what he did, especially
No.
being on the council, knowing the different, like you said, when he was talking with Catelyn, he's like, look, you guys take the North. I don't care. And
Right.
you fight for me. We'll wipe these guys out in no time. We'll be done in 2 weeks, you know, a fortnight.
Which I'm pretty sure Kat was hoping that Stannis lost that battle, because if she would have gained that
I don't think she wanted that. I think she wanted them.
She didn't want them to fight at all. Yeah, she didn't want them to fight at all. That's why.
Then it would have been a triple threat.
Yeah, that's why she came up with them having a great council.
You would have had a perfect navy. You would have had a perfect army, and then you would have had the North coming in from another gate. You could not have defended that.
I think that was a very brilliant idea on her part, but unfortunately for her, she's dealing in a patriarchal society,
or a crazy one.
Yes, and so they dismissed her thoughts because their egos were too much in an uproar. There was just too much testosterone.
Yep.
So, but she actually had a pretty brilliant idea, because if they all had came together, there would have been no way that the crown would have. Them Lannisters would have been decimated. They would have been done.
Oh yeah.
It would have been done. But you know, that's not how. But then again, we wouldn't have this intriguing story, and we wouldn't have all these intriguing plots, and we wouldn't be having this discussion because
it would have been an easy story, right?
Yeah, everything would have been hunky dory, and you know that's not how Martins do. So, so much to our frustration, you know, a lot of these characters are going to make a lot of these decisions that are like, oh, why? And then we're left to kind of like, well, why didn't you do this? And you did this because of this. And so getting back to Renly, my question is, or what are your thoughts on, do you think that his lack, how much did him not having his parents affect his outlook on a lot of the things that, on his relationship with respect to his brothers? How much do you think that played into the relationship that he ended up fostering with the Tyrells? What are your thoughts on that?
Go ahead, T.
Well, as far as like the effects like not having his parents, I think he's kind of like, didn't his folks die when he was like 3 or something? He was real young.
He was 2, I think, yeah.
So he was even younger than what's the little Stark boy name? What, I can't remember people's names.
Oh, Rickon.
Yeah. So he was younger than that. I'm not sure if he even remembers her to know like what it was like having them around, to miss them like Stannis or Robert would have. The thing that I think that might have, how can I put this? It's almost as if Stannis was there when he was it helped raise him in a sense, I would, based on what I read, because he was there when they tried to siege Storm's End, right? Wasn't Renly there with him?
Yes.
Yeah. So with that stuff, like I think he, if anything, he had a close relationship with Stan. So I think that's what makes that whole situation with him and Renly, I think he might have, it's going to affect him more than it would if he was to get in a confrontation with Robert. So I get that, you know, he might not have been able to bend off of that situation, but still, you sent a shadow baby to kill your brother. But as far as like the relationship dealing with like his parents, to him being open to the Tyrells, I think it goes back to his sexuality, that open-minded, like they're not bothered that he's attracted to men, where Renly wouldn't been able to say that to Stannis, even though I'm pretty sure Stannis probably had some idea.
Oh, he knew, because he made that dig. He made that dig about when Renly, that was a good one too. When Renly said, you'll be happy to know that she was a maid when I married her, and Stannis was like, she's like to die that way in your bed. I was like, savage.
So I think like the transition as far as being more open towards that household, that they're going to, he can like really find love if he wanted to, whatever. But I think as far as him raising up, it would be more to how that's not the word, how nurturing he was with Renly as they were growing up. But he's been such a standoff that I think Renly might have had some traits from Stannis where you disregard other things as long as you get certain things done. That's the only thing I can think of. But anything as far as like his relationship to his parents and towards the Tyrells, I think it's just two different things. I think it's based off of the fact that they're a little bit open-minded. And then you have Stannis. I see, the thing that they don't really talk about is how they were like stories of when they were younger with each other. You get the sense of Stannis, he was to himself and everything, but Renly just, he didn't really have they made it seem like Renly didn't really have rules, like they didn't really bother with him and stuff like that. But then I still get this feeling that Stannis did play a big role in his life, just because of that he went through war with Stannis, and he was in there where he was seeing people eating rats and stuff. That's the only thing where I'll say, like, I can understand why Stannis was really upset that he would just want to jump crown before him. But then you never know. Renly might know that that's not Stannis. Like, he doesn't really want to be king.
Yeah.
Stannis really wants to be king. He's just doing it for pride.
Yeah.
So you're not going to skip me. I'm supposed to be king.
What are your thoughts, AU?
So as far as the parentage goes, I don't think it really played a whole lot of factor into what Renly did. I think because he was on the council for so long and he was next to Robert, and saw his ways and realized that he was a great warrior, but he wasn't the king, and he did mingle with the people, so to speak, and realized that the people needed more than what Robert was able to give them. And just the fact that he was on the council and Stannis is like, yeah, we need to outlaw brothels. And Renly's like, this is ridiculous. So I think he just made an effort to play the game. And he did that with Robert's influence and knowing that he could easily be the king through force. And with uniting with the Tarleys just was perfect. I really don't think he made a bad move. I just don't see anything that he did that was the wrong thing to do. He tried to work with Ned. He tried everything he thought he could do in order to bring the most peace. Because if you have a nuclear weapon, nobody is going to attack you. And that's literally what he would have had he been able to, not be killed by a shadow baby, which nobody saw. That was just Mel.
Yeah, I agree with that to a certain extent, but yeah, I think Mel totally influenced that shadow baby.
She birthed it. Of course, she influenced it.
Totally influenced that shadow baby. But I believe that Stannis, you have to have a willing participant. And Stannis was willing to break his marital vows in order to create a shadow baby.
Right.
This upstanding, law-abiding citizen.
This is about Renly.
Yes. So,
and the parentage.
I think I'm going to agree with the statement that, as the youngest and losing his parents, they allowed him to do whatever he wanted to do as a young boy. And I think that has to do with because a lot of people felt bad and sympathized with him, and so they didn't want him to grow up sad, or they kind of tried to coddle him. And I think that's probably something that's still present in any child who loses their parents very young. You tend to sympathize so much that you coddle them to the point where you want to protect them from any hurt. And probably Maester Crescent just allowed for that to happen, you know, just allowed them to just allow him to do whatever. But even despite that, I think that he still was cognizant enough to want to be able to want to do the right thing. And I agree with you on that point, that he did still want to do the right thing. He did try to provide sound advice to Ned in that one regard. I mean, that's one instance we see. And then even in his conversation with Catelyn, in his reason why he felt that he should be king, he did make some good points. And even in his conversation with Stannis, when they were doing that parlay, he also made some good points. Stannis, for his part, I think there was enough of a relationship between the both of them, that there was love between the both of them. But at the same time, circumstances caused there to be some sort of a rivalry, and they were too caught up in what they had going on within their own selves to kind of push that rivalry to the side in order to come together. I think that the offer that Stannis made to Renly was an actually very generous offer. The offer to be his heir. I think that was a great honor. He was willing to overlook his own blood, his own daughter, who's technically supposed to be his heir, and was gonna name his brother as heir, because he didn't have any sons, other than the 2 shadow babies he created. But he didn't have any sons, and the fact that he was willing to have that, to me, that speaks volume as to how much thought and how much care Stannis had for his brother. I don't think when he went to that parlay, he was expecting for his brother to really oppose him to that extent. It just so happened that, unfortunately, his brother had a huge backing, and so his brother felt that he had a better claim, and he wasn't lying about that, because the fact that he had more of the love of the people, it would have made ruling a lot better. And I'm sure if Stannis were to side with Renly would have given him I believe that Renly would have given him probably the position of hand. He wouldn't have given it to a Tyrell, which is probably what they were probably going to be thinking. But, their daughter would have been queen, and Renly would have had to just grin and bear it, and then produced an heir, kind of like what King Edward did with Louis's daughter, because he was a flame, but he bent and glared, and they produced an heir. And after they produced their heir, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going back to playing with my boy toys." You know what I mean? So I think that probably would have been the case, and I'm certain that it probably would not have been the outcome that Stannis would have wanted, but it probably would have worked in his best interest, because at the end of the day, as hand, he's kind of like the second in command, and things probably would have worked a lot smoother and a lot better with Renly as king than it would have with Stannis as king. But if we're looking at the true,
one issue would be, I think Renly wouldn't be able to produce an heir at all.
I think he would. He would have been. For the
purpose, he would have been able to.
All he has to look. Yeah, look. Well, it's been done in history all the time. There's a lot of those English kings that were producing heirs. Not all of them were straight. A lot of them were gay, but they did it because that was their duty.
Do you think really would have like cut up, or I mean, because in the show, Marjorie was like, "Oh, you want my brother first, and then we hop back there." Like, how you gonna play this?
I don't take too much of what the show does.
I'm just trying to think in my head, like,
I take more into consideration of what history has shown, and based on what history has shown, a lot of these kings that were actually gay actually did produce heirs, because that's what was expected of them to do, because they had to produce an heir in order to secure their dynasty. And
but do you
I think Renly, I believe he would have. Renly in the books would have. I can't think about Renly in the show, but I believe that Renly in the books would have, because he would have understood. I think he understood that him producing it, how important producing an heir would be to securing his position as king. So he would have done it. He may not have enjoyed it, but there's nothing that says that you have to enjoy it. It's just something that you just have to do in order to secure your kingdom.
Chat room, let me know. Do y'all think Renly would have manned up and been able to heir, or do you think
we could go back to the beginning of the conversation that we had with the picture of Marjorie, where he was asking Ned about her resembling Lyanna, and that's one of the first things that threw me off about Renly even being gay to begin with, because he really pined for her much more so than I I just thought he was really interested in marrying her.
I think so too. I mean, it would have worked out great. And also, there's nothing that says that he wasn't bisexual. They just talk about his relationship that he had a relationship with Loras. I mean, but it wasn't in the books. It's not as overt as it was in the show. And I think the show probably kind of skews everybody.
Yeah, like you gotta take the show with a grain of salt.
Right. And it's not something that's overly like, it's not like out there, like all up in your face in the books. It's mentioned, but there's nothing that says that he didn't swing both ways. There's nothing that says that. So at least in my thoughts in the books, he probably would have done it.
I don't know about you guys, but
I've
met a lot of both gay and lesbian people that have been married before.
Yes.
And so they lived that life for a long time as a married couple before, and even had children before they, came out of the closet and said, this is what I want. And so it's not uncommon. And I don't think Renly would have had a problem with that at all.
No, I'm sure Marjorie would have found a way.
Timo made a good point in the chat. She said that Marjorie would sleep with someone else just so that she could have a baby. So they could pass on a bastard. But then I think you run into that same thing about the seed is strong.
Like with exactly.
So yeah. And look,
so I don't. My thing is, with respect to the books, I think people would have conformed to certain roles in order to gain for the greater good of whatever for the house. And I'm not that familiar with that part of the show to really, because I guess my views on it are not skewed. My views are based on what I've read in the books and what I understand of that era. Because I'm really into the Victorian era, the Tudors, and the Hanoverians and the Stuarts. I'm really into a lot of that history with the with Versailles and all that. And so in that time period, certain things were just known to, even though people had their own agendas. When you were king, you were expected to do, there are certain things that you were expected to do. One of the first duties that you had as king was to produce an heir. And I believe that Renly and Marjorie would have done what they needed to do in order to be. Now, does that mean that Renly wouldn't have had his extracurricular activities? Probably so. That wouldn't have mattered. All of the other kings prior to him had extracurricular activities, so it would have been nothing different. What really mattered, what would have really been an issue, is if they failed to produce an heir. And And I think that they would have done whatever they needed to do, at least in the books. I won't talk about what would have happened in the show, but at least in the books, I believe that had things gone that way, that they would have done that. Look at Rob. Well, Rob, unfortunately for him, there was, you know, other juju at work, which was keeping him from producing an heir. But that was his main thing. Like, you know, I need to produce an heir, but, you know, unfortunately his mother-in-law was like, you know, was cock blocking, for lack of a better term, which is what, you know, kept him from producing an heir. But that was a really main concern, because that's part of being a king, is you have to produce an heir in order to secure your line of succession. So
I agree.
Does anybody have any thoughts with respect to any of the Baratheon brothers? I think that them as individuals and them as a brotherly unit, there's a few dichotomies in their relationships, and there's just so many. They're multi-layered individuals, and it's either, a lot of times it's either you love them or you hate them, and there's like no in between. With Stannis in particular, because he's like our main Baratheon protagonist in the story. He's all that's left. You know what I mean? Because, you know, Robert is killed off in the first book, and then his brother is killed off in the second book. So he's all that we have left, that kind of carries the Baratheon name, aside from Gendry, Maya Stone, and Edric, which I'm. So, what are your thoughts with respect to those three bastards? I mean, what role do you think those three will eventually play? Because we have Maya Stone in the Vale, so whatever's going to be popping off at the Vale, I wonder what role she's going to play in that. And then you have Edric Storm. I forget where Davos sends him, but you have Edric Storm, who idolized his father, who idolized Robert Baratheon. You know what I mean? And then we have Gendry, who doesn't necessarily really know his parentage. He just knows there's something about him, but he doesn't really necessarily know why there's something about him that is so special. What are your thoughts on what is potentially going to happen with those three bastards? AU?
No, Tee Baby can go first.
Okay. No, I was just shaking. I have no idea. Like, Maya, she's up in the mountains with Littlefinger, so technically, I feel like she's in danger. Then we have Gendry. Gendry's with the Brotherhood, right? So, no, I don't think about all these bastards. I'm telling y'all gotta like let me know what to read up again. I won't even think twice about them, but I think as far as so it's not like they're going to go but so far unless someone legitimize them, but by then it might not mean that much, just because either it's going to be Dany or Jon or someone else on the Iron Throne, or no Iron Throne at all. So Maya's going to play a big role with Sansa in some way. I think Gendry with I don't know Gendry, because he might link up again with Arya. He might Stoneheart again. I don't know what's going to happen with him there. But I don't think like he's going to be a lord or anything like that. The only one who I could potentially see becoming a lord would be what's his name, Edric Storm or something like that. I don't think about his kids, and that's kind of sad. I don't really think about his kids.
Well, Edric is like a great. Edric would be considered like a great bastard because his mother was a noble person.
So that's why I'm like, I could see him possibly becoming like a lord if they legitimize them, but nothing further than that. Questions in the chats, you guys, just
if you could grab those, because I'm like not. What are your thoughts, AU?
So if you don't, I mean, if you're going to consider Robert the king and the Lannister kids are dead and there's no other heir, you know, meaning Stannis or Renly, then Robert's bastard children would be heir, wouldn't they?
Well, they are potential heirs, but they would still need to be recognized as
bastards, which we know Storm is.
Well, we know they're bastards, but they would have to be recognized as heirs. I mean, usually, at least from what I understand, in the absence of your parents your father not recognizing you as a true heir, that has to be something that the council or whoever is ruling in proxy, they have to recognize you as heir, in order for you to, you know, if there's anything that if there's any benefit that you would like to reap. For example, for the sake of the story, Stannis is probably not going to live, and there's a potential that Shireen will not live to the end of the story. But we still have Edric Storm, and who knows of Edric Storm? Everybody that was on Dragonstone, everybody that was at Storm's End, and we also have Davos. And he would be, like I said, he would be considered a great bastard because his mother is of noble blood and her family is still around. So they could potentially petition to have him recognized as a legitimate heir, and then he would then have claim to Storm's End and to Dragonstone, if he's considered a Baratheon. You also have Maya Stone. Who knows of Maya Stone's parentage? Pretty much everybody in the Vale, right? The only people that knew of Gendry is, I believe, Littlefinger knows. I believe, but I'm gonna suspect that Brienne suspects that he's a Baratheon.
Yeah, because she kept making.
I think
he
looked just like Renly. So, so it's gonna be there's gonna be the potential that, you know, Brienne might mention that, you know, you might be a Baratheon because you look just like so and so.
Right.
So I believe there's probably the potential. Yes. So there's probably the potential that, you know, that he might in some way, depending on whoever becomes in power, they might all be legitimized and they might split everything among them. I really don't know. I think Maya just wants to get married and have some babies and live. So I don't think she's really concerned because she's only known the Vale. And I don't know if she wants to be outside of the Vale. She's like in love with this guy, and they want to get married and have babies and just be happy and live in a hut. I don't know. She's not looking. Yeah, she's not looking to rule. So it's really going to be between Gendry and Edric Storm, and Gendry doesn't strike me as the type of person who's looking to do any of that. He's just trying to.
That's what. Storm.
Yeah, so Edric Storm, who was raised in a noble house, right. Again, who was a noble, and who was kind of fostered in that environment, would probably be the potential, you know, the next Baratheon, the one that's going to carry on the Baratheon names, because his great grandfather Orys was a bastard, right? So. And his brother legitimized him, which is why he was able to you know, take over House Dondarrion and take on their coat of arms and take on their words, and then just establish House Baratheon. So
that's true.
So there's a potential that, you know, they will. I would hope that Martin just doesn't have them there as like a throwaway, like he has them there, but then, you know, that's it, that they're just throwaway characters and there's no I mean, it's possible that there might not be any resolution for them, but I think that there should be with the potential for the Baratheon line to get extinct.
It might, you never know. But like, I think they might play bigger roles in other characters. Like Gendry helping Brienne, or else she would have died. Then you have Maya Starr, who was helping Sandra. Who is Sandra? Sansa up the mountain, up the mountain and stuff. So I think they'll probably play like, maybe not a resolution like they'll end up in a position, but their story is that they help certain characters get to either a high place or a low place in their lives or something. And like, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think Storm would be the only one I could see maybe having a position of power. The rest of them, I don't like, as far as getting into the politics. They might have like a similar story. But I think that they're in a situations for certain reasons, and that I think they play bigger roles for other people than more for themselves.
Right. Like a supporting cast.
Yeah. So it's not like, oh, these are throwaway characters, but I think instead of them having like their own strong storyline, I think their storyline will become stronger because they're with certain major characters. So. But did you guys want me to grab a few questions, or did you want anything else to discuss?
No, I'm pretty good.
Did you respond?
Do you have anything to add, AU?
I don't think you even said it.
Yeah, we were talking about the bastards, and I was asking about the heritage or the inheritance rights as far as the throne. And Timo's right. She's like, what does it matter? You know, Cersei conquered the Iron Throne by force and, you know, made herself queen. But in the books, I think
That's what the Targaryens did.
I'm sorry?
That's what the Targaryens did. Like
well, so did the
conquered.
So did Robert, yeah.
The reason why I'm like, Stannis isn't king until he conquers it, because it got taken away from him. So if he was if they didn't take it away from him, then yeah, he would be king. But it got taken away, so I feel like it's a reset button. It's like, you got to conquer it again. He was close. If he would have won the Battle of the Blackwater, he would have been king because he would have won it by conquest. See, I'm not trolling. Like, that's just. It's in the world of Ice and Fire where they say that even Aegon wasn't considered king until they blessed him in. Same with Joffrey. Even though he was technically the king's son, they would like, hurry up, bless him in, bless him in, bless him in, because they needed that stamp of approval before they went. So that's what I'm saying. I agree with you.
No,
There's not
by laws, I'm sorry, I disagree, Tony. By laws, he's not king. By laws, he is next in line of succession to be king, but he is not king yet. He has to be recognized in order for him to be king. But by laws, he is the recognized heir. He should be the recognized heir, the next in line of succession to be king. And I think that's just where there might be some disagreement. Yes, he should be king. He should be recognized as king, but it's only because of the fact that his brother actually did not have any legitimate heirs. He only had bastards. And so by the laws of the rights of succession, his brother Stannis is the next heir in line. And so he should have been made king, but he is not technically king because he has not been recognized as the next heir, because as far as everybody else is concerned, them kids that are walking around with Baratheon names with them golden curls are Baratheons, and they're the heirs. And until there's something,
because you ain't say nothing, you ain't open your mouth, you just ran like a bitch, and you left your brother there to figure it out on his own. Oh yeah, I'm right. I'm not supposed to call him a bitch. Cupcake. You ran like a little cupcake. Okay, real sweet over there.
Well, we have any questions we have any questions?
Yeah, we probably do. I gotta scroll up. Actually, I'm lazy. Just write your questions over again, and I'll just catch them. But I don't know. Like,
so in
it's
regards to
funny.
the bastards, I'll just say that I think that in the books you'll see much more of an influence towards the end of the story as far as them being alive and what they'll participate in for the show. But as far as them taking the throne, I just think they're going to be a part of attacking the others and the White Walkers. I think that's going to be more of their influence.
Yeah. I am in the camp that believes that at the end of this story, they're going to go back to being their own separate entities, but they'll probably institute a great council where they'll have one representative from each of the different areas that will come together for whatever reason, but that they're each going to become their own separate the lines of who belongs to who. Those are all going to be separated. Will they still be a 7 kingdom? I don't know, but I do believe that there will be a separate kingdom, that the Iron Throne will be will become a moot point. It'll just end up going away. At least
it would make more sense to do that, to have a vote than to just, oh, you were born, so you should rule up. Like, fuck no. Like,
we should have 9 kingdoms, right?
We
should have 9 kingdoms, right? Or 9 councilmen. 1 from each.
Yeah, but I don't think. Now, see, I think like each kingdom should appoint someone to represent it. But then I feel like at this point, egos are so high that people just feel like I've been conditioned to know I'm born of a certain household. If I'm first in line, that this is mine by right, instead of me earning it or the people wanting me to have this position.
Like the Danes.
Yeah, like, let me vote if I want you to rule over me. Like, I don't want like some little, like, you're in like a war, and then all of a sudden a noble person gets killed off, and now you saying that this 5-year-old should make decisions for us. That's stupid. It's just stupid.
Well, that's why you're supposed to have a regent. Well, again, you're supposed to have.
No, I'm just saying, like, in general, you should always be you should be able to vote in who you want to lead your region, then someone next in line, because as we see, not everyone's going to be like their fathers or their grandfathers. Like, the North dodged a huge bullet when Brandon died. Let's be real, because he went up to King's Landing with like 5 or 6 people thinking he was going to get shit done. That's stupid. So they dodged the bullet. I just think that not everyone. Joffrey, a perfect example of someone who should not have power, but because supposedly he's by your blood, he's not. Be where people vote him in, and not have just these random kids who feel like just because you're born into it, you should be the king. Stannis is a smart, intelligent man.
Which is why we no longer have those rules anymore. Which is why we've strayed away from. Well, the majority of the countries in now no longer use that practice anymore, because it always ended up being a volatile situation.
I will say this for the chat. If Manaro was on OJ's team, he got off. So that just means she know her shit. So I would want her as my lawyer. Like, if it doesn't
like
this for the club,
and you must have
it's
quit.
like, man, you've been charged for burning kids with dragons. The glove don't fit.
It don't fit, yo.
Do with it. I said. Yeah.
So, Manaro, you saying nine councilmen?
Yeah, I think they'll probably have a council from a representative from each region. I think that's probably what will work best, right? But we all know that sometimes some things are only temporary, because you're always going to find someone who's going to want to, who's going to smell themselves, if for lack of a better term.
Nice.
And they're going to want, I mean, look at the different empires that we've had out over in the West, in the European, Asian region.
Our West. Okay.
When you look at that, the different empires that have circulated through, between the Roman, the Persian, the Ottoman, when you look at all of those different empires, it only took for one thing to spark, and then they started to expect somebody felt that they wanted more. Look at Persia was one of the greatest empires. Like, they stretch all the way from, I think, what is now modern day Mongolia, all the way over to what is Spain?
Italy.
Yeah. So Italy, and then they were over the Greeks for a while, and then the Greeks, just by the time Alexander the Great came in, he just took all that over.
Yeah.
I mean,
even Egypt. Yeah.
So I think it probably would work best if they had. It's probably going to work better for them to have like a representative from whatever region that they're from, and that person it becomes a little bit more democratic, and everybody has their own respective lands that they manage. There's probably potential for trade. There's probably potential for relationships to be fostered, and then they can then deal. Because I think what's probably going to bring that on is the fact that all of them are going to have to deal with the White Walker threat that's going to come, because the White Walkers don't care about who's in the Reach, who's in the North, who's in King's Landing. They don't care. They don't care that what house you from. Okay, they don't care what house you're from. You will get annihilated. So I think that's probably going to be one of the things that's going to have to force them to have to come together. And then I think once all is said and done, they're probably going to figure that it probably is not going to work in their best interest to be doing this king of all of the kingdom, because they'll come to find out that they don't know as much as they thought they did. All of this power that they thinking that they're trying to gain is not really going to mean anything if they don't have allies, if they don't ally themselves with each other. And I think that's probably what's going to cause them to, instead of having one kingdom, they're going to have separate states or separate, I don't know, regions or kingdoms, or however you want to call it, in order to be able to move forward. At least that's just my thoughts.
Do you think that Stannis is going to make it out of book? What book are we on? 6?
Well, no. T-Wow's a 6th book.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Do you think he's making it out of there?
No. I think he.
What about you? Are you?
It's going to be so close. It'll be like maybe the beginning of the Dream of Spring, but yeah, it'll be close.
So you saying he's making it out?
Either he'll make it out and die in the beginning of Dream of Spring, or it'll be towards the end of T-Wow.
Oh, okay. So you like borderline. It's either he's going to die towards the end of the book,
or the beginning of the next book.
Make it out. It'll be the beginning. Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking he might not make it out. I think once all that battle stuff is over with, I think either it's going to, I don't think it's going to be like the war between like the northern houses that is going to kill him. I think it's going to be the threat of the others.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think he's going to make it south. I don't think he's going to make it south.
Yeah. I don't
You mean south of Winterfell?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it south.
Yeah.
I think Winterfell is going to be his last stop. He's not going to.
I agree with Tony on this one. John's definitely playing Stannis's role in the Battle of the Bastards kind of thing. So
Okay, we could get over that. We understand that in the books he's going to be doing that. We got it. We got it. We got it.
I just don't think he's going to survive after that.
I still don't think he's going to make it south of Winterfell. I think he is going to he's going to meet his end in the north. Because if we're to believe that in the show, like what happened in the show is going to happen to Shireen, that's where he's going to meet his end. If we're going to believe what happened in the show will eventually happen to him, then he's going to meet his end in the north. He's not going to make it past Winterfell. At least that's just those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, I personally don't think George is going to get the 2 books written. I think there's going to be a 3rd book, is I guess what I'm saying. So there'll be 8 altogether. Okay. So that's why I'm hesitating on the way I answer that.
Okay.
Like Tony brought up a really good point. There's 300 pages from Dream that are Dance that are into TWOW. So he's already pushing the book forward to the point where there's going to be an 8th book.
Yeah, unless he does a time jump after this book. Because remember, he wanted to do a time jump, but
everybody was because it was taking too long after he had written. I believe it was A Storm of Swords. So he ended up putting out A Feast for Crows. And when you look at A Feast for Crows, some of the characters are actually having the timeline is pretty much almost the same of what's going on in A Clash of Kings. It's just from a different. Dance. No, I believe it's A Clash of Kings. It's just from a different vantage point.
Yeah, I think you can read Dance and Feast at almost the same time. Like,
yeah, you can. There's if you go online, there's like someone had made a list of all the chapters in chronological orders from Dance and Feast, where you read it and you can read it as the way he intended it for all of us to read it.
Because
sorry, Ian brought up the point about the 300 pages. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Give credit.
But I believe there's a conversation between Sam and John that occurred, and that conversation, it's John's point of view in, I believe it's A Storm of Swords?
Feast.
Is it a Feast?
And Dance, yeah.
Okay.
John wasn't in Feast.
No, I'm just saying the point of view. I know that John wasn't in Feast. I was just saying John was probably in A Storm of Swords when he had that conversation. But I'm just saying that it's the same conversation. But right, okay. It's the same conversation. But Sam is the point of view in A Feast for Crows, and John is the point of view in another book.
Yeah.
But it's the same conversation that's being had.
Yeah, so it's like you saying one side of what all of those are doing at the same time, and then the dance was everything that was happening with this was happening, but it was just somewhere online where they made a list of each chapter from Feast and Dance, merging them together so that you would get the storyline. So if you see a storyline with Sam, like maybe 2 chapters later, you would find a storyline with John to kind of put you in the right timeline, because he kept saying that the book was way too big and that he had to split it up. But someone who has way too much time on their hands figured out the timeline.
You know what? Look, I believe that this fandom. I mean, the stories are very intriguing and compelling in and of themselves, right? And you know, when you have to wait so long in between one book to another book, you tend to start to have to find your own closure, if for lack of a better term, which is why all of these theories pop up, right? Because you don't have your closure, so you're trying to create your own closure. You're trying to create your own theory the way that you think the book should end, or how you think the book is going to end. And you create your own closure because you have characters that you become attached to, and they're no longer there. And you're like, well, if this had happened, then this person would still be alive. And then you have characters that you don't like, that you wish were dead. And so what you do is you come up with a scenario that would cause them to be demise. So the story is so compelling in and of itself that people start to, because we're as the way that we are trained, I can't find a better word for it, but the way that we're trained, whenever we're told a story, we're always told a story with a conclusion. There's always the end, whether it's a happy end, and more often than not, it's always a happy ending. Anytime we watch a movie, we know that there's a setup for another movie. We know in 2 to 3 years, the next movie is going to come through and it's going to pick up for where the last movie ended. And then if it's a trilogy, we know there's going to be an end and we're going to get our closure. Whether we like it or not, we're going to get our closure. And this particular story, we don't have any closure because, and not only do we not have closure, it takes so long from the end of one to get to the other. We're stuck, for lack of it, we're stuck having to kind of grapple with finding our own sense of closure for the story. And so and there's some of us, in order to kind of like help us to through that transition, we kind of I don't want to say overanalyze, but we analyze the story to a point where it starts to make sense for us in order for us to be able to digest it and for us to be able to find our own sense of closure within it. And there's always going to be somebody who's on that bandwagon with you, so you're not alone.
Yeah, join my bandwagon. Where I have these crazy theories because Martin won't finish reading books. Like, every time people like, hey, they say something, check this out, everyone say no, because then I'm going to end up asking more questions. So I want him to just finish it because I have still way too many questions. I mean, we all have way too many questions, but like what's also down in the crypts, like there's something further down where it was like something was blocked off, like what's down there? And then I'm like, so what's going on the wall? Like, why all of a sudden just now they figured like let's start making a move, like let's wake up now and start moving. Like what really got Blood Raven to go to that damn tree? Who was the
watch my next video, T? I'll answer that question for you.
So yeah, like I always have a zillion questions, and some questions, like things I see in the book pop up that everyone's like, you're just overthinking it or doesn't mean anything, but it's just like a weird vibe, like that in there. And it could be just to throw you off to start thinking about something random. But like it was one chapter where Littlefinger took Sansa to the fingers, and this chick said my lord, and then she said my lord, and he got pissed off, like Charlotte. And I was ever since I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? It was just like, what?
I think they stole that. I think that's why they stole that part of it and put it with I believe that was the interaction with Tywin and with Arya in the show. I saw a clip of that.
And it just was making me think, like, so what the fuck does that mean? And why they do that? And what did she think she was doing? And what could this mean? Like I'm always with questions that no one has the answers to. And then I ask a bunch of you guys, and y'all like, leave me alone. Stop asking me all these damn questions.
I guess I'm linear. I'm a very linear person. Like I don't create what I don't have evidence for. I could speculate on a lot of things if there's no.
That's basically what I do. Yeah.
If there's no real conclusion to anything, I could probably speculate. But usually, I don't. My mind doesn't necessarily wander into start, crafting any type of theory or conspiracy about anything. It's just like whatever it is on the page, that's what it is. And so usually when I hear other people's theories and thoughts, it kind of just like maybe sparks different questions in my mind. And the main question for me is, okay, well, where did they get that from? And how did they go back to that? And so I have to go back and read, or I go back and read the particular topic where they're talking about, so I can see if I can see the same thing that they saw, and maybe I just overlooked it. Because, you know, every time you reread the story, something new always kind of stands out to you, because you've been hearing so many different theories, you've been hearing so many different ideas from so many different people, that every time you reread the story, you know, something new pops up at you that you probably missed on your first read or your second read or your third read. And so that's why I say I'm not a crafty person. I read what I read, and I just make my you know, my decisions based off of what I read, and I don't usually go any further than that. You know?
The craziest thing about this book is that it's a POV, and you have to interpret what this person is saying and and who they're talking to. That interpretation isn't linear, and that's the problem that I had after the first 2 or 3 reads, is that I was taking it as gospel, and you can't with this book because they're all perverted views.
Yeah. Well, somebody made a comment in one of the last Baratheon discussions that we had, and they said something to, and I'm sorry if you're in the chat, and if you are, just say it was me. They made the comment that we can look at a lot of these stories being told through secondary characters, and in a sense they kind of are. And I made the comment that, you know, because they're POVs, a lot of those a lot of the thoughts that are being put out there are skewed, because it's like a telephone game, right? I tell you something, and then when you go back to repeat it to somebody else, you're going to hear it the way that you want to hear it. You're not going to hear it probably the way that it's actually said. You know, I mean, we all put our own thoughts and interpretations based on what we heard, based on what lens we see through. Some things could be direct, but some things are based on how you choose to view it. And so even though you might tell me, you know what, it's cold outside, I could be like, it's not that cold, it's just maybe a little windy.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, let me catch my thought again. My bad, y'all.
So while you're thinking your thought, I'm going to take this question from Tuki Mello. Do you guys think Sansa will kill Stannis in the Battle of Winterfell with the Veiled Knights and become Queen of the North?
I pray that's not true.
Do you think Sansa will kill Stannis in the Battle of Winterfell with the Veiled Knights and become Queen of the North?
Nope.
I pray not, because I don't want to hear Tony crying. That would be terrible.
I don't see the only reason why
there's nothing worse than Stannis dying by Sansa's hand.
Yo, everyone would lose their shit if that happened, but I don't see that, because the only reason why Stannis even wanted Jon on the in Winterfell was to rally the North so they could be behind him. So if anything, she would either align herself with him, but there would be no reason really for her to kill him. So nah. And I don't think Sansa's like up there. She's not war tactic, and makes sense for her to go that far.
I think the only my thought is the Veil Army will only come into play when the battle for the Dawn will come, when it comes into play. I don't think they're going to have a part in the Battle of Ice with respect to Stannis. I think who will have a part will be the Manderleys, all of the secret, army that he's been building. I think they're the ones that are going to actually have a significant role with respect to the Battle of Ice. I don't think it's going to be the Veil Army. The Veil Army, I don't think will come into play until after the Battle of Ice, if they come in, because after the Battle of Ice takes place, there's still going to be who's going to take over as for Winterfell, and if Davos hasn't returned with Rickon by then, is Stannis going to appoint a regent, if it's not Stannis, it's going to be all of the Northern Lords, because the Northern Lords are going to say, well, we need to put somebody in place. And I think probably Manderly, if he survives the Battle of Ice, is probably going to say, well, we're going to stand in for Rickon because I've already sent your man out to go look for him, and he should be on his way coming. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
We all are. We all are. Yeah. Especially with that question.
Yeah. I also wanted to make a comment on what was being talked about earlier. Now I forgot. I just had a tea moment.
How about the question?
It's okay. It is okay to have tea. You know how your thought be so good and you like, where is it taking me? And then you start thinking about that and it's boom, gone. It's like, damn it. He did the same thing the other day. He was saying something. He was like, and I was like, if I didn't just do that last night, remember I was on the video chat with you ladies, and I was like in deep thought, and I was like, and they was like, what? I'm like, that thought be deep, and I be trying to catch it. You trying to run away.
I wonder. There was some discussion in the chat with respect to what's going to happen to a lot of YouTube channel when all the books come out and the story is done. I don't think that that there still won't be nothing left to discuss. I mean, people are still talking about the Lord of the Rings, and that book was written and concluded.
Hell, I mean, a long time.
Yeah, and there's still people talking.
I could talk about that forever. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still people talking about the Lord of the Rings. So,
I think it's talking about as far as like the TV show.
Oh well,
only because I think you're going to see a reduce of like a lot of these newer channels, because it's like a lot of like new channels. I think. Yeah, around like the end of last season to like recently, we saw like a channels popping. But like again, the show got extremely popular, and each year I think it's just going to keep getting popular. So to one point, I think we're going to see probably like a half of that. But then you'll see more channels similar to this where they're like obsessed with a TV show and they want to, have these type of discussions. I think you'll start to see more of that.
Yeah.
But as far as like related to Game of Thrones, yeah, definitely. And then it'll be more like people who are into the book. So you'll see channels, of course, because
right. I know for myself, I don't want to be typecast to Game of Thrones because I do have things that I'm interested. I mean, I won't lie. It was never my intent to even start a channel. But that was my first time ever watching the show, and I just wanted to just talk. So I just started, putting up but I mean, I have like my geekdom goes so far. It's like I am welcome to Dorkville. That is going to be a t-shirt that I will be wearing.
It is. I agree.
So, You'll probably start seeing stuff other than a Game of Thrones, as soon as I can get my life together. But anyways, I have so many other things that I'm into, and I'm gonna tell you, I don't live or breathe. And I hope I don't offend anyone, but I don't live and breathe Game of Thrones, to be quite honest with you. I love the story, but there's so many other things that I really, really enjoy, and I get into that, and I'm like obsessed over, and Game of Thrones just happens to be one of them. And it's good to be able to find a group of people that also enjoy the conversation, because for me, Game of Thrones is mostly for me about it's more the human element of Game of Thrones that attracts me, not necessarily the plot lines, but it's more so the human element of Game of Thrones. That's why I don't love or hate any character. I look at them as fairly as I can. You know what I mean? And then, and just look to see who they are for, you know, look at them for who they are and what drives them to do a lot of the things that they do. I think they could make a lot better decisions. I think they can do things in different ways, but that's, you know, that's just part of character building. You know, we're all flawed. We're not going to make the decisions that we're supposed to make in the time we're supposed to make them. Because if we did, it probably wouldn't make a good story anyway, if you always did what you were supposed to do.
So what other stuff besides, like, because Game of Thrones was like the first thing where I started geeking over and wanted to talk all day about it, and I wanted to see what other people say. Like, I wasn't like really into Star Wars like that, or Star Trek, or all these like super like fan base. Like, I'm like dipping into the nerdisms and stuff like that, but I'm just curious, like, what are other things? And also for you guys in the chats, like, what are other stuff you would love to talk about besides Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Like, I would love to still, like, I think for me, instead of actually making these videos, because they are so time consuming, and me with my thoughts, that y'all see my thoughts go everywhere, and they go here, and it's so hard. I've had like 4 or 5 videos that I had planned on notes and notes, and they're organized, and I still can't find how to, like, where it makes sense to me. Other stuff for you guys into, like, I'm more into live streams where I can talk to you guys, joke about it, and it's just like, you know, we're all kicking back, having a drink, or our good old ginger ale, and just having a good time talking about a bunch of different things. So let me know exactly what other stuff you guys would be interested in, or something like, you need to watch this so we can all talk about this. Like, I would love that.
Let's say hi to Alicia first.
Yeah, let's say hi. Hey, AK. And she got her fedora on. You know, I love that fedora.
Yeah, sorry, I'm like super duper late. Y'all probably done passed over everything. That took way longer than I thought it would. I apologize.
It was for a good cause. It was for a good cause.
It was. She had to do it, so I don't even want to hear that in the chat. But I'll wrap up. We call Stannis isn't a fish, but a cupcake. Renly is stupid yet smart, and Robert just died because he didn't give a fuck. To sum up what we've been talking about.
Wait, what? Say that again?
Oh, I was saying, basically, to sum up this whole stream, a true cupcake. Renly was dumb, yet he had smart ways. And Robert just didn't give a fuck. A cupcake is someone sweet.
All right. I can dig it. The late Lord AK. Yeah, you're right, Ion. You're right about that.
Yeah. Ion is funny.
It was for 2 great causes, though, so I think I can be excused.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing any more Black Sails videos. But as far as other stuff,
yeah,
I haven't watched Black Sails yet, and I know. Forgive me, Timo, because I'm supposed to be watching. Because
she talked about it so much that I dedicated way too many hours to watch that freaking show. And I still was left empty with the way that it ended. But that's just my own hang up. I did not like the way that it ended. But
you mean because it had no nudity and sex?
No, I could care less about nudity and sex. That's for the other dude.
That's for the other thirsty people.
Yeah. That's for the other person.
Couldn't get past that episode. But I'm gonna try again to get into Black Sails.
I'm not really big on TV. Like me, like I said, I'm a huge. Linear. I live in Dorkville. All right, I just admitted that to y'all that I live in Dorkville. So I don't usually do like.
Did you start chewing gum?
I haven't started. It's on my list, but I haven't started chewing gum. Me, I'm a person. I really watch like anime, and I watch like superhero.
Do you watch Attack on Titan?
You
have to watch Attack on Titan.
I watch anime, and I watched, anything superhero related. I do like my playlist is mostly like comic stuff, and I love like anything like action or sci-fi. That's usually where I live. That being said,
Gotta watch
Listen,
Attack on Titans.
I do watch some shows here and there. Like if you tell me a show and I'll give it a chance and then I'll watch it. I do like historical pieces. I like watching anything that has to do with, like I said, I'm into the Tudor era, the Hanoverian era. I really like that. I really like those pieces. I'm into like ancient, like I watch Battle BC from the History Channel sometimes. Like every once in a while, I gotta get a fix and I gotta watch that. I love to watch a whole rerun of The Lord of the Rings. Like I'll watch all of the Hobbits and then I'll watch all of The Lord of the Rings because that's what I love to do. And I like watching the superhero. I mean, that's usually where I live. You know what I mean? That's usually where I live. But that's not to say that I don't like to watch other shows. I do like to watch other shows, but they're not usually at the top. Yeah, they're not usually at the top of my list. And I love watching animation. Like if it's animated, I probably may have watched it. If it's animated.
Check out Attack on Titans.
Okay.
It's weird.
I've watched the first season of Attack on Titans and I didn't like it because it was just way too crazy for me. I did watch it.
Did you watch the?
I haven't watched any of the. I haven't watched season 2. I watched the first season and it was just like I can't do this. This is like, first of all, I'm not into gore that much. I'm not really into gore. And Attack on Titans is very, very gory, and there's a lot of cannibalism to me.
You're right,
and I don't do cannibalism. It's not my cup of tea.
I always say y'all should watch some weird shit. You're right. Don't watch that.
But if you're into that, I do. You know.
I really do think you'll like chewing gum. It's weird, but it's not like gory weird. I don't want you thinking that. But I think you'll love it. Yeah.
Yes, I have watched the Tudors with Reese. That dude is so hot. He played Henry VIII before he got fat. And
he was young Robert.
Yeah, and your girl Natalie Dormer's in it. She played Anne Boleyn.
The part of the second side piece again.
She played Anne. No, well, she wasn't a second side piece, but she became queen. She was like, if you want this, you got to make me queen. You got to make me queen. So I loved that story, and it is totally. You could see where Game of Thrones came into that. Between that and the court of Louis the 14th, I think it was, or was it Louis the 16th? One of those two. Those two played. If you've ever read the Accursed King series, it's really close. It's really, really kind of like the Game of Thrones, the Accursed series, and the court of King Henry VIII is really like the Game of Thrones thing. So, I mean, I should say the War of the Roses. I should say. I shouldn't say the court of King Henry VIII. I should say the War of the Roses, the war between the Lancasters and the Yorks. That way that whole thing played out. Yeah, it's Game of Thrones. So.
Yeah, I download the books and I've never read them.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Because it's like 3, I think, or it might be more. But I downloaded the first 3 books.
Yeah, that's a pretty big series. Yep.
Yeah. And it's good. I mean, the books are very good. And so I like timepieces. I like timepieces. I like things that are set in, in 16th century, 15th century type stuff. I like stuff that are set in like BC area, like, old Greek mythology type stuff. I'm like totally into that. And a lot of times I don't care how cheesy it is. I'm like a sucker for CGI. So give me all the CGI. As long as you make it look pretty for me, I can probably overlook the storyline. I'm going to go in there not even caring about the storyline or if you have one. Just give me a lot of pretty CGI to make me go, ooh. And then I'm
Have you seen the trailer for Valerians or like
yes
or something? That shit looks spectacular.
It does. It looks, and I'm gonna be there when it's, if I can, I will be there to watch it in all its glory. Because you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of The Fifth Element.
Yep. Later, JD. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Later, JD.
So I'm not gonna. Go ahead.
I think with me, I'm not huge on period pieces, which I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It took me a minute to get into Game of Thrones. I must have watched the first episode for like 4 or 5 times, and I never finished towards the end. I was like, boring, click. So it's just bored me. But then the last time I saw it, once he pushed Bran out the window, I was like, what the fuck he did? Like, no. And then I just watched it. And then I just watched the whole thing. It's just like,
nobody is safe.
That was everybody's crowd. Anybody that was on the fence, as soon as that scene came up, like everyone I've talked to, they said, as soon as I saw that kid go out the window, I knew shit was about to get real.
It was gonna pop off.
Really, yeah, because my uncle don't do that.
My uncle, this was 3rd season because it was that red wedding season.
Wait, hold on,
and my uncle.
Timo, why is your cock raging on? what the hell are you even talking about right now?
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry. I looked up at the chat, and that's what my eyes came.
No, time out, Timo. I am not telling you that. I'm just saying that it was anyone who pushed a kid gets pushed out the window. What? Like, so no, it's not Jamie that did it. I know you want to get
Jamie intrigued you. Jamie pulled you in because his act alone is what intrigued you, that pulled you into the story. Because had he not pushed Bran, you probably been like, what?
No, he would have pushed it. If her dad would have pushed it, hell, if the damn direwolf would have pushed him out the tower, I'd have been like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, but it wasn't none of them. It was Jamie. It was Jamie. But it was Jamie though. It wasn't none of them.
Jamie can suck my dick. I don't like Jamie. Wow. Jamie has nothing to do with it because if you really, I know that's Tee Baby disrespectful. Right? I know that's because you don't have one. I don't care for Jamie. He's not the reason why I like this show. I'm not giving him. I'm
not saying he's the reason why you like the show. He's the reason why your interest
watch it. No, the fact that a kid got pushed out the window was not like, oh, Jamie did it. I gotta be honest, dude. No. You're not rocking that. You're not getting it. Sorry.
I still need to know what the hell the cock raging is about.
Speaking of cock raging, did you think that Loras jumping from Renly to the Lannisters really that quick?
He was a man in grief. He was grieving, and he needed, you know what I mean, I think the Lannisters, I think he was on a rebound. He was like on a rebound. You know, everybody, I won't say everybody, but you know, sometimes people have like a rebound person that they, you know, get with. And I think
you talking about on the show?
I would think on the show because I don't see he didn't do anything with anybody in the books.
I mean, it's a bunch of thoughts in Westeros, so that just seems like something they do.
I think the show just like overdid a lot of that, in my own personal opinion. They overdid all of that, and I guess because they were trying to appeal to that audience.
I don't like that.
And to me, I think it's overkill because it wasn't organic and it wasn't natural. It wasn't a natural part of the storytelling to me. I think the way that Martin does it in the book is more of a natural part of the storytelling. The way that pussy juice.
I was trying to keep myself from saying it.
So nasty.
Well, you gotta say it in Lil Wayne's voice.
Pussy juice.
Oh, good Lord.
So it's if it's not organic to me, and if it feels like it's over, to me it felt like overkill. At least in my
they made Loras seem like he was just stupid, fucking anyone. Oh, the door's open. I don't care. Like, no, he's not that dumb. Like,
he's not like he's not that crazed. He's not that some sexually crazed individual in the books, and I think that kind of took away from his character in the I think they did his character dirty, like they did a lot of characters dirty in the in the show. That's not who Loras Tyrell is. at least.
You know what's amazing is that neither one of those those actors were gay in real life. And I thought that was really shocking to me after seeing them portray the character the way they did. Just absolutely good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. But Lois Tyrell in Iron Fist, he might as well be gay. Just saying.
No, let's not even talk about that full disappointment.
Yeah,
I was skeptical about him being cast in that role from Jump Street, and then after I saw it, I was like, oh.
I don't blame him. I blame the writing. An actor has to work with what he's given, right?
And I
didn't like the fight scenes all there.
His side characters were better than he was.
The fight scenes were so cool. You could tell how choreographed they were. Like it was. Yeah, like it wasn't natural to me. It's not like you see how the fights in Daredevil are like real gritty. Like no, and that's not who Let me not go on a rant. We're not.
Yeah, don't go into a comic rant. Don't do it. Don't do it. They ain't
We're talking about Loris.
We're talking about Baratheons. We're talking Baratheons. We're talking Baratheons. We're talking Baratheons.
La 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 la.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. But I hope everybody enjoyed this Baratheon discussion about all the brothers. I know I have had a lot of fun, and like UT, this is more like my thing. I love having organic discussions. I don't like it to really be planned. I just want to say, hey, let's talk about this, and then we just talk about it and just put our ideas and thoughts and see where everybody is with respect to those different and how we view these characters and how they make us feel or don't feel. Yeah,
and then of course I love the chat.
Yeah, the chat.
No, you love the trolling. Let's admit it.
Right,
Poor Tony's having a heart attack over there.
There's a difference.
I love it. I love it. The chat always makes it live.
One day it's just like I enjoyed trolling Jamie, and then it was Cersei, then it was Tywin,
Catelyn,
then it was Stannis,
yeah.
Catelyn. Like it's starting to become too easy for Catelyn. Like I saw the one video where they were saying why they hate Catelyn, and towards the end of the video, I started wanting to defend her, and I didn't like that, so I shut the damn video off. I was like, nope.
You can't defend that shit. Fuck her. No, don't even go there, Monero.
It's just funny.
I will go there every single time because you're not gonna dog every character. Not every character has their good and their bad. They all should be dogged and they all should be praised. That's just my.
You praise them and I'll dog them. So we
I do both.
It's a good team. It's a good team.
I do both.
See, that's a good thing because she always looks at the really good qualities, and I look at the shitty.
It's not necessarily good quality. Like I see some of their bad qualities too. Like if you have somebody that you praise all the time, they're like, well,
it gets
actually, they do have this thing about them that probably does not make them all cookies and cream. I'm just saying.
That's why I started.
And if you dog somebody all the time, and I'm like, well, they do have certain qualities that are somewhat redeemable based, and it's only because, even as because they're done from a POV standpoint, they're all skewed, and you're getting to see the reason why a person does it, and it doesn't. Again, we as individuals, we tend to latch on to certain characters because we identify. Usually you latch on to the character that you identify with the most, either because you either shared the same experience with that person, or you know somebody that shared that same experience with that person, or because you have something that is relatable about that particular character that you have a connection with that character. And then the characters that you hate is because either they remind you of somebody that you hated or did you something, or they did something to somebody that you know, or there's just something about that character that reminds you of something that just was unpleasant, and so you tend to want to dog that character out. I mean, and that's just normal. I mean, that's part of storytelling, because every character has something, you are either attracted to it or you're, you know, you're like repulsed by it. That's just, you know what I mean, the good and the evil. But the story sometimes, you know, to me, has the person that you hated end up being the person that you end up liking, and the person that you like ends up being the person that you hate, because when you initially meet them, they present this one facade. But as the story goes along and you get to hear other people's point of view based on that particular character, then you get to see the other side of who that person is. And then it kind of, at least for me, I won't talk for anybody else, but for me, it kind of changes my perspective as to, okay, well, even though I still don't agree with what the person did, I can somewhat maybe not necessarily empathize, but maybe understand. And it kind of gives me a full picture of who that person is. And so I want to thank everybody for joining me in this discussion. To Tee Baby, AK, and AU, you have truly made the discussion like worthwhile for me. And to everybody in the chat that has come through all four, I really appreciate you coming through and being a part of the conversation. And to all the Stannis lovers out there, you know, hey, it is what it is. I still stand by what I say, and I know that Tee Baby still stand by what she says. It is what it has to be. It doesn't mean that we can't love each other. It just means that we just have to just you know, respectfully disagree on whether or not he is the true king or not, which I don't think that.
Yeah, because it's like, who really gives a fuck? But I just find a lot of the fun in saying, fuck him, he's not king. But
the ultimate troll of trolls.
Well, that's her house words.
Yeah, you guys helped me with that. We trolled them all, like, fuck all their feelings. But Timo, she's so funny. I agree. Because it's like when Beauty Queen was talking about, like, you know, because you can probably identify, and that's why you like. And I started thinking that's like Brand and Littlefinger is my favorite. What the fuck is that? All right, so I'm a motherfucking oath breaking.
Timo is in love with Ramsay. I mean, that's just, it says it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying.
I was watching a YouTube interview.
What the hell?
Yeah, she just went out.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
We can now.
Okay, sorry. I was watching a YouTube interview that he had on a late night show, and the actor, I think his name is Ian Rowan, something like that. I can't remember.
Ian something.
He said, "If you like Ramsay, you're fucked up."
There you go, Timo.
So Timo, I love you I love you despite whatever anybody says. I think you're awesome, even though you may be a little. Hey, to each his own. To each his own. I am here to accept and love you. I am not here to judge.
Oh, you know I don't judge. I mean, I like Littlefinger, and I think he's such a fucked up character. And of course, my other favorite character mind rapes people, so what that say about me? I don't like doing that, but
you like taking people down in a rabbit hole with you.
I'm just saying, it's fun.
Like
no, she's about to start going into one right now. No,
like,
no.
So have you heard right now?
Just no.
So
I just keep thinking,
awesome.
it's technically it's not my fault, it's y'all fault, because you guys start talking about these things and then you say something and then my mind gets spinning, and then next thing you know, I'm in the rabbit hole, but I didn't bring you down
Do
there.
you see me in Monaro's face right now? Really?
That's because y'all don't want the people to know the real.
Take responsibility for your actions, Taryn. All you. We might ask one question.
Talking all this theory stuff, talking about, hey, what about this? And I'm like, oh.
Timo, I kind of do like Euron too. You know what? Mm-mm.
I do like Euron.
Timo, cut it out.
I do kind of like Euron. But
see what we got to deal with, John. See the kind of
the
sadistic minds that we have.
He be raping
You're
his
pretty
brothers,
lucky.
and that's a
Pretty lucky, Manaro.
So I'm like,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
The craziness keeps us going.
I know, right? So so let's put it to a vote in the chat. I either want to do the Lannister brothers or the Stark brothers. So which discussions would you rather do next, chat? The Lannisters or the Starks?
Honestly, I'd prefer to do the Lannisters first because they'll take a much shorter time. We'll be on the Starks for like a month.
Got one for
With
the
Lannisters, are you just doing the ones that are alive?
The entire
Oh, wait,
time.
No,
I
want to actually do
Tywin and his brothers too.
Yeah, I want to do Tywin and his brothers,
Okay,
and then I want to do Tyrion and Jaime.
Okay, I changed my vote. Then we'll go with the Starks first because fuck the Lannisters.
So we have one. We have one for the Starks.
I agree. Starks.
You got
two.
You got three for the
Starks.
Three
fuck
for
the
the
Lannisters.
Starks. Wow.
Timo, you'll sit your happy
Timo, that's why
ass
I got all 7 of them damn hells. All 7 of them.
Do the Lannisters. I'm trolling everything.
What does your shirt say,
I
Manaro?
expect you to troll the Starks.
What does your shirt say?
Oh, it says building Black businesses.
Oh, gotcha.
Hey.
I thought you were showing the shirt like it was a Stark thing.
Tony put up a vote. Tony put up a vote and said, "Do the Dornish sisters." They would have to come after.
So you want to go?
So you want to go? He want to go into the Sand
I-
Snakes.
Look, I gave the option of Lannister and Stark. That's what we're gonna stick with. Lannister
Make their own
and
category.
Let's just stick with Lannister and Starks for now.
He just pulled the Sheldon, pulling out his own
exactly.
box that nobody asked for.
If I can put the Dornish, I could put the Sand Snakes in the list for a future discussion, but for now, let's just stick with. Are we going to do the Lannisters or the Starks first?
That'll take until the end of the year.
Yeah, pretty much.
The
Pretty much.
Lannisters and the Starks.
That's a lot of discussion right there. High five for that suggestion, though, Tony.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the
that's
Dornish sisters, because I am gonna do a sister series.
And the Greyjoys. Write that down too.
The Greyjoys. Ugh.
Don't worry, we'll
have to change that to siblings maybe because we don't know a whole lot about.
Well, you got to remember, Manaro is
died.
a book purist, so the Greyjoys in the book are 10 times better than what you can imagine. So
true enough.
Okay, so let me see how many votes I got.
The Lannisters could be
Timo have all the seats right now. Timo, all.
Thank you. It's like their granddaddy bitch, their daddy bitch, their brother bitch, their kid bitch, their bastard bitch. It's like that's it.
Cupcakes, Tee Baby.
Oh yeah,
they ain't good enough to be cupcakes.
So we have
some sweet cupcakes.
We have more votes for the Lannisters than we do for the Starks.
All right, so Lannisters it is.
We're gonna do the Lannisters first. So we're gonna do all of the four. I think it's four of the four older brothers, which is Tywin, Kevin, Tigget, and Jerian.
Jerian, yep.
There's one more.
There's another one, isn't there?
Yeah,
there's 5 of them.
A Teague. I think it's Teague.
Tig. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Tigget. Okay, so it's Tig. Okay. So we're gonna do them first.
Dumbass.
Come on, Jerian wasn't
Funny
that bad.
dumbass and dumbass.
It's a goofy dumbass, a smart dumbass, a dumbass that left.
Don't worry, we're gonna do the Clegane. We're gonna do the Clegane brothers too. I'm not gonna leave them out. We're gonna do all the brothers of Westeros. We're gonna do all the sisters.
Tony, what are you talking about? Black on black crime against the Don. What is happening right now? What did we miss something? What is going on?
I was about to say something really out of pocket.
Black crime.
I need to keep my mouth shut.
What kind of nonsense is this?
So Yeah, so we're gonna do the Lannisters next. More than likely, we'll start that discussion after. We'll start it in May.
After the con.
Yeah, after the con. So next week, Tee Baby, AK, and hopefully Lady D and myself will be at the con next week, and I'll be vlogging our experience there. We will be doing a ginger ale chat while we're there. So be ready for that. And then
I can't wait. I can't wait. And when I tell you I'm trolling everybody at con, this is like gonna be a new experience. You know, and they're gonna be people dressed up as Lannisters. And I'm
this
like,
is gonna be my costume at con. I'm gonna put a nice little jewel on it. And
I was thinking about doing that too, and I just said
I'm gonna be wearing a tinfoil hat.
T's gonna be dressed as a troll.
Right. Yeah, I really want to the Westeros troll, and I just be like, "Oh, you like that character? Let me tell you about this character." They like get out my face, and then it's sad because they dressed as their favorite character. I hope to run across a Stannis dress up. I hope to run across.
And we're gonna be. I'm gonna have Tee Baby walking around with parchment talking about. You are the father.
Don't even say that because you know she'll do it.
We're gonna have to find some parchment paper. Walk around giving everybody a parchment.
Yes, Timo, we will be.
You owe a back pay of 10,000 dragons. I'm gonna need you to pay your child support.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's gonna be fun.
David said be oil. Yes, that's exactly what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
the hate on the Lannisters must end. Fuck that. Lannisters will be getting hate from yeah, you damn right. Blood must have blood. You fucking right. And they will get all the blood. I will bleed every last fucking one of them.
Lannisters are more bitches than the Baratheons.
You know what? How Stark could get it too, because they ain't fucking perfect either. I am an equal opportunity hater. I will hate wherever the fuck I want.
So just be prepared to troll the ones that you don't like, and then also, root for the ones that you do. It's all equal, equal imbalance here at Manaro Geek TV. I am all for it. That's what we do here. And so I hope to see all of you back for that discussion starting in May. And I'll also in the future, June is going to be my 1-year anniversary on YouTube. So I will be doing an anniversary stream. And I have no idea what I'm going to be doing.
Bring that ginger ale.
Probably ginger ale will be involved.
Be strong.
That'll be a 12-hour episode.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't think YouTube will allow us to do a 12-hour episode.
I don't think they'll have a choice.
Nobody's going to want to listen to us ramble on for 12 straight hours anyway.
That was an anomaly. That was an anomaly. That was an anomaly.
To us ramble for 12 hours.
No kidding.
I believe in y'all. You can't plan those. It just has to happen.
Yo, that was not planned.
It really was. Planned. What was that? A total of like 3 different streams that we actually did that day? Like 10 hours
that day, all I wanted to do was just give you guys an update on my channel, and then I think I spoke for like maybe 3 minutes about what I was gonna about my update.
All from there.
And then all I know is it just
boom.
It just took a life of its own. I think we went on somebody else's chat for a minute, and then I got a message. Yo, you want to do another stream?
Let's do another 4 hours.
Let's do another stream. I'm like, good grief. And I think that's the first time in a long time I had ever stayed up that late, because usually by like 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm like, I'm done. I am done for the day. So, but
Timo, cut that nonsense out, okay? Nobody cares about your one time that somebody saved the city right now. In the whole grand scheme of things.
And then another dumbass Lannister locked them up. So you just proving a point that they just are full of dumbasses.
And didn't even lock him up in a good way. They put him in like one of the smallest fucking closets they could find. Like you couldn't give him a fucking decent bed.
Does he need that much space now? Like
dumbasses, no, dumbasses.
Starting to sound like Pycelle. What are you, a little monkey? I got a shoebox.
So I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to next month. Looking forward to June, and then in July, I believe we get.
It's my birthday. Yeah, you're right.
Game of Thrones drops in July.
Birthday, Karen, it ain't always about you.
It's okay.
July 9th. It's just she had to finish her sentence. It's July 9th is T's birthday. So yeah, look for that.
And yeah, we're gonna be streaming on her birthday. Yeah, we're just gonna come in for like we're gonna come in for a hot second to
don't even say that.
Birthday.
No. We'll end up being there for another 9 hours.
Yes,
just say we'll be on until we're on.
Oh, that's right, because Timo's also in July, right?
So ours is a little later in July, if I'm not mistaken.
But that's okay. We could just do a July stream for the birthday girls. We'll do a July stream.
Hey.
So look forward to that.
Oh, and Tuki. Hey, them July babies. Yes.
Y'all in the chat room, don't give Tanner nothing else to celebrate, man.
Tuki, be prepared that you're going to come on this stream because it's a birthday stream and you need to be prepared to come on live with us to do the birthday stream.
Timo's birthday is in July too.
Yes. So
I need on the same wavelength. Cause
I don't need two trolls on the same panel, man. Damn.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna have to have some ginger ale to
So Tuki, I hope you will do us the honor of coming on the panel with us and just come in and just hanging out and chilling with us on this panel. That would be totally awesome for me.
Don't be scared. Come hang out.
Don't worry, we don't bite on the first one. We only bite the second time.
That's a lie.
Speak for yourself. You speak for your damn self.
Shut up.
Look, don't scare them off.
You may not bite, but you'll nibble a little, right?
Just a little bit to see what you do.
Nom.
There you go.
So if any of you guys are going to be at the con, just please, if you see us, just come up and just say what's up.
But don't like sneak from the back and stuff. I don't like surprises. Like let me see you coming towards me.
Because you might get a John Wick. She might John Wick you. And I won't be able to do nothing.
I'm gonna just sit there and laugh. I'm gonna be honest.
I will not.
I am not on duty. Lord Commander is off duty for that whole weekend. I'm just laughing at people.
Yeah.
No, friendly. Don't get it wrong. I'm really friendly. I don't like that cover from behind me.
Don't sit behind her.
Well, that's what you get. That's what you get for signing up for the damn Faceless Men thing. You're gonna get shanked.
Watch this, and they know I signed up for it, and now I'm a target.
Well, that sounds like a personal problem.
I was gonna say, yeah, that sounds like.
They didn't tell you to sign up and then go on YouTube.
You don't want. Ain't nobody tell you to tell them that I was playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
See, she got me killed.
Really, it's my fault. Yeah, okay.
She's acting like Renly, y'all. She trying to
you really just insult me like that? Really? Really?
You don't want that killed? I'm already dead. I ain't even gone to con yet, y'all. Oh, they got just replay like. Oh, that's her.
You know what, Taryn?
If you see me come on and be like,
you know what, Taryn?
This is in the memory.
Okay.
If you see me come in here and say this is in memory of Tee Baby, she was a really good troller. The life and times of Tee Baby.
She trolled the Lord Commander, and that was the end.
I'm like, what's going on? Wait, so I'm dead.
We're gonna have a live stream on the life and times.
Today is the day AK just killed T. No, but that day is soon coming. I'm ready. Right now.
You got the
right
now blade.
This right here.
Oh, also,
Protect
I'm
me,
also gonna start doing show rewinds. So I'm gonna put AU on the spot. The first show that I really want to do is Deadwood, and I'm hoping you would want to come and do Deadwood Rewind with me.
That would be awesome.
If you've never seen
show.
if you've never seen the show, I hope you'll join myself, and I'm going to corral AU in order to come and do that show with me, the show rewind with me.
Which show?
Deadwood.
Okay, yeah, my daddy said that I needed to watch that. It was a really good show, and that's also on my bucket list.
Yeah, I think it's only 3 seasons, so
it makes the Lannisters look like Boy Scouts.
Sure do. Sure do.
This is all Girl Scouts.
And
whoa! Wait a minute, Plexi. I'm gonna need you to retract that shit right now. I'd bring no such thing as no shadow babies to a sword fight. No.
Thank you. She got my back. She tried to kill me, pick me out.
I don't deal with the shadow babies. I takes blood myself by my own hands.
Okay, how you saying that? Giving a shadow baby.
I ain't affiliated with Melisandre like that.
Are you saying that's a bitch move to say a shadow baby to kill someone?
No.
Are you saying that?
You know what, Plexi? You're gonna have to go on my list. Look, I just put the damn sword down. Why you make me pick it back up again?
She's good like that.
Threatening people on strange.
I know, right?
I'm gonna need House to go ahead and retract that statement because that's some bullshit.
Yes, it is. So if you have Amazon Prime or you have HBO or whatever, you can catch Deadwood. I'm gonna start it after the Game of Thrones season, because I know right now everybody's gonna be on the Game of Thrones high. So after Game of Thrones is done, probably like starting either in August or I might do it in September more so, because people will still be like hyped up after Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones will probably run until August anyway, because I think they're doing 7 or 8 episodes. So that's going to be at least 2 months. So I'll probably kick it off like in September. I hope you guys will still be around to come and check it out with me. It's an awesome show. So if between now and then you want to catch up and watch it, or if you just want to wait until I do the show rewind, I hope you'll come and join me. Al Swearingen will soon become your best friend. If you like Littlefinger, you'll love Al Swearingen.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I love Littlefinger, so yeah.
Then you're gonna love Al. Ian McShane. Oh my God, he plays
Epic.
the hell out of that character. Let me tell you.
Yep.
Yes. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and because we've been gone for 3 hours now, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this chat. Thank you once again to everybody who came out. I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody go ahead and sign off, starting with Tee Baby.
This was fun. Again, I adore trolling people. Don't stop. I'm going to continue Thursday at Con, and we're going to see how many people I can troll in one day. Trying to go for records here. But anyway, I enjoyed this chat. I enjoyed the chat room. I always love talking to you guys, and thanks for having me and letting me just scream my madness online. But I adore you, AU. As always. I didn't get to put my little emoji up because you're here, so
yeah.
But I adore you. He lets me be me, and I love it. And so and I really want to just send a special shout out to my ladies because you guys always just let you cool as hell, and I really consider you girls my friends. So I'm so grateful for this book that's gotten us all together. Don't say bye. Say see you later. And yeah, I'll see you guys.
AU?
Well, it's so awesome to be part of this group. I just love all of you, and it's really a lot of fun talking about the Baratheons too. That's just a side note, but to be here and chat this way is just fantastic. It really does make my week. Alicia, I'm sorry that you didn't get to be here the whole time because we had a lot of fun. We really missed your input too. Manaro, I'm really looking forward to working with you on that Deadwood talk. That's going to be fun because I know we have talked about that before. It's been a special show of mine too. And I hope you guys have a great Sunday. It's been great. And I'm sorry I'm not going to see you next week. I'll be in California getting to watch my daughter perform at Disneyland. So that's just fantastic. She just got a job there. So she's been rehearsing for the parade and performing, and I'm going to be able to see her there for the first time. So yeah, it'll be very special.
So cute.
Yeah.
Take pictures.
Definitely.
Lots of pictures.
And if she'll let you, can you give us like a few second video of her performance if she'll let you?
Oh, she'll definitely let you. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
tell her good luck.
That's not a choice she has. It'll be on Instagram for sure.
Mo, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to her. Of course, best of luck. Best wishes to her and her performance. I know she's gonna do spectacular. AK, my sister.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to miss so much of the chat, and I'm sure I'll get teased about it later because Taryn has no chill. I appreciate always hanging out with y'all. AU, you know you're my boy, and my lovely sisters, T with the hair looking awesome, and Manaro always with that great smile.
Mm-hmm. Whip it, girl. Whip it.
And I am also going to give a shout out to our two sisters that have not been around lately, the North Remembers and Christina the Sphinx. Hearts, if y'all watch this later, to both of you, we miss you, and we hope things work out so you both come back sometime soon. And chat room, y'all know I love y'all. Always. Chat's guard is always on point when them trolls be out, except for some damn reason Taryn keeps getting by every fucking body.
Stannis is a cupcake.
But I love her. That's exactly what I love about her. I mean, I know y'all might hear us arguing and talking about each other sometimes, but you know we're just playing, right? This is just what we do all the time. So I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Manaro, thank you for always having me on. I don't know why y'all like listening to me ramble, but I'm happy to be here.
Oh, come on now.
All day long.
All rambles are good stuff, man. It's good stuff. It's like, it's like soul food.
A cupcake of thrones.
Cupcake of thrones.
Yes. So before I head out, I just want to do one more quick, hopefully it's not going to be considered a shameless plug, but it's going to be a plug anyway. For those of you who don't know, the North Remembers and myself have both started online stores. And so that's been one of the reasons why I haven't actually been uploading as often on my channel, because I've been working kind of hard in trying to build it. And so I've put links to both of our stores in the description box, and it would really mean a lot if you would, you don't necessarily have to go in there and buy anything, but if you would share it and like it, that would really, really mean a lot to kind of get us some exposure. If you are so inclined to want to make a purchase or anything, there is a discount code listed in the description box. For North Remembers, I believe you have to go on her Instagram page, and then you can get the discount code. A lot of love is put into, kind of creating this. So if you would be so kind as to, no purchase is necessary, but it would be greatly appreciated if you would go on the store and kind of like, share the link and spread it across so that we both can get some exposure as just starting out, support our little venture. That would really mean a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and stop now because I'm feeling a little awkward about it. But with that said, thank you once again.
Buy some stuff. That's what she's saying.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, because she's modest and she's such a sweet person that.
No, buy things. Buy many things. Buy all the things.
Use your credit card. Max it out.
I mean, we always so quick to support these big commercial brands, but support someone and cheap, Go in there, check out. You never know. My birthday's coming up. Timo's birthday's coming up. You know, it's like we just started talking about this. You got reasons to buy things. So just check it out. If anything, check it out and give her feedback if anything else. But really, you know, buy something, y'all.
I would really love the feedback if you know, you can I have an email link at the bottom of my store. If there's anything that you would like to give me, any feedback you'd like to give me, I would truly appreciate that I really would. So again, I'm not going to belabor the point. I just want to again thank my special guest for being on the panel with me. I want to thank all of you who took some time out of your day to come and have this great discussion with me. And I look forward to chatting it up with you guys again when we are at con and we get into some of this ginger ale chat. AU, have safe travels. Heading down to go and see your baby girl do her thing. And
Tell her to break a leg.
Yep.
Yes. And I hope great things happen. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Sunday and then has a great and blessed week. And I will see y'all later.
Hit the like on your way out.